Yeah, no, I suddenly got a frog in my throat the moment I opened my mouth up to speak, because I usually do a little bit of up speaking when I do the start of the show. Welcome to Red Pill Nation number 464. That's Roger coughing in the background.
Oops.
Since Roger was coughing there in the background, Roger can now introduce himself.
Hello, everybody. I'm Roger. Nice to meet you.
All right. Yeah. So, site news before we get into all the links. I have just decided to drop Subscribe Star. Um, I thought maybe that I had sent the wrong message to the wrong person at Subscribe Star to get my account verified with Subscribe Star. So I started up a new account, and the same thing happened there, right? And when I tried calling or emailing, I wasn't getting anything back. So I did a little bit of digging, and lo and behold, yeah, I wasn't the only one. And Subscribe Star has got a really low, like super low rating on some various sites. I have also, by the way, well, yeah. So it's like, yeah, if you've been having any problem with Subscribe Star, it's not just you. I pulled all my stuff. I just basically canceled Subscribe Star. I'm going with Patreon. If somebody can offer an alternative to Patreon, because Patreon has got some issues as well. They also chose to take a stand in the culture war, which, of course, at this point, as we go through tonight's show, you're going to see that's kind of backfiring on some of these sites now. But yeah, the I am currently only at in here. I will actually just here. This is what I will do. I will just put the flag down here if I could find it. Default, no. Okay, where is that? Where is that? Oh well, I'll find it here at some. Oh wait, there we go. Banner. There we go. Banners down below. Feel free to like and support me there. Yeah, that is going to be my de facto site until I can find something else. And yeah, the aim here, I'm just going to make this official. The aim here at this point is to get to the point where I am doing just basically doing this and nothing but. I also found a bunch of some old video graphics, AI graphics that I made for the show. I'm going to be throwing them all up here over the next couple of minutes. You're seeing one for the Red Pill Nation right now. I'm just going to take that off the screen here. But yeah, I also found a bunch of headers for Tinfoil Hats Are Us. And here is. Do I have that? Do I have that video? No, I don't have that video. Okay, well, all right, I'll find that video. There's a mock video of Trump endorsing tinfoil hats are us. But I mean, I've got the photos to back it up. So um, the whole thing with the other news is that, yeah, I was just telling Roger about this. I'm probably going to be dropping Twitch. Just way too many problems over there. I literally, the last live stream I did, I got reported and I got suspended for a week while the show was in midstream. No word of a lie on that one. So yeah, I will be doing Kick. I will join Banned and Censored when circumstances allow me to, but I will probably am going to be moving away from Twitch. Twitch deserves all the hate and all the vitriol that's currently being sent its way at this point. That's all I'm going to say about it. So, for those of you who don't know, I am at obviously Rumble, BitChute, Odyssey, MGTOW TV, Brighteon, and YouTube. I am also at Facebook, Minds, Gab, MeWe, Getter, TLB talks, at least for now. And that is pretty much it. I will be adding some other stuff. And yeah, I know I've been talking about this for over a year now, actually close to a year and a half. At some point, this stuff is going to go up on iTunes and Spotify and SoundCloud and all of those places as well, when my finances allow me to do that. So the topics for tonight, and this is a rather interesting eclectic mix of topics tonight. Topic number one: another case of get woke, go broke by Hollywood, as the movie one battle after another tanks epically. Peace deal worked out between Israel and Hamas. Nobel Committee refuses to acknowledge, or specifically refuses to acknowledge, Trump. Topic number three, and keep in mind, like, this is covering a couple of weeks here. Antifa ratchets up activity in Portland. Poor journalist Nick Sortor arrested. Portland police under suspicion. Yeah, there's a lot going on there. Topic number four, YouTube is getting even greedier. Yeah, that one's also going to be rather interesting. And then topic number five, trucker convoy activist Tamara, Barber, and Chris Barber sentenced, no jail time, however. And topic number six, GoFundMe is in big trouble, opened up 1.5 million pages for charities and didn't bother to tell the charities that they did it.
Oh.
Yeah, no kidding. No goddamn kidding. So anyway, just as an offside, I will be posting up, at least for the first couple of photos, I will be posting up links from Tinfoil Hats R Us. When I find the Trump video, I will actually get that in there as well. And of course, yeah, I've got a whole new batch of RPN logos to run through as well. Yep. Glad to be back though, folks. So without any further ado, let's just get into this tonight, because it's like, yeah, I started a little bit late. I'm not going to go into the details as to why, but it started a little bit late tonight. So yeah, let's just get into this. All right. And there's no video for this first one. Again, not a surprise that this particular movie, One Battle After Another, features Leonardo DiCaprio. Very, very bad timing on the release of this. Like, extremely bad timing on the release of this. The movie is not doing particularly well. Again, Hollywood itself is not doing particularly well. A lot of the movies that they're making are not. I mean, for instance, Tuesday night used to be, like yesterday. Tuesday night used to be my movie night, like consistently my movie night. And I can't remember the last time I went to a movie on Tuesday night. I think it's been a couple of months now, because it's just like there's not really much to see anymore. At least in my opinion, it's like a lot of it is just so formulaic or whatever. But anyway, again, some of the critical response to One Battle After Another suggests that it's not as necessarily as woke as it is being projected by some factions in the media. Here's the problem, though. Well, for one, the fact that it's Leonardo DiCaprio. Two, the timing of this particular movie being released was just terrible. And three, and this is me putting on my tinfoil hat here, the release of this particular movie at this particular time is very, very suspicious, right? You know, and when I looked at the release date and I saw it, one of the first things I was thinking is it's like it was almost as if they were planning on perhaps having the Democrats win and then bringing this movie in to hype up the policies that the Democrats were probably going to follow all the way through the all the way through the next 4 years. And this movie was specifically released at this time to do that, and it kind of backfired on them because it's kind of weird. And this is something I have noticed out of Hollywood, and I'm sure when Roger gets to it, he's maybe noticed this as well. Hollywood has a really weird way of releasing these coincidental movies, like having them come out like right around the time there's some type of a politically loaded event, which kind of makes me wonder at this point, like maybe these events, maybe this stuff is not as random or planned as expected. Because I mean, I have noticed that this is something that Hollywood seems to do quite frequently. And again, right? The bad guys are white. The good guys are, for the most part, are not white. All of the stereotypes are there. Yeah, this is, again, movie is not as bad as it's been portrayed to be, but it's still not exactly
A good movie.
not a particularly good movie either, and it's not doing well at the box office. It's not tanking the same way some of the other movies were, but it is still not doing particularly well, and it is not doing particularly well for a very, very good reason. And I really don't have much more to say on it, so I'm going to turn it over to Roger.
Well, with me, when it comes to what you were saying about Hollywood, I don't see it as too strange. I think that when Ronald Reagan became president, it was pretty obvious that Hollywood had a lot of pull in Washington. Another thing that really tipped me off was what's his name used to play as Rockford on the Rockford Files. He was really influential in politics as well. Ed Asner.
No, that Ed Asner was
No,
Mary
Ed.
Tyler Moore
Ed
and
Asner too, though, as well as the guy that played Rockford. They were
what the
both.
hell was that guy's name? I'll have to take a look. I'll have to look it up while you're talking.
But Ed Asner was the in charge of the Actors Guild, and they had a big scandal with him. I think at the end of the late '80s, I believe, where he had his hands in politics, got caught doing some stuff he wasn't supposed to be doing too. But yeah, for me, I don't know much about the movie, but when you said that, that's the one thing I wanted to add there because I don't think it's kind of strange. A lot of stuff that goes on in politics today has a lot to do with these actors. What's his name? I forgot his name. He married that rich woman. He actually has a satellite that him and his wife owns in Africa. And those girls got kidnapped by the warlords. He actually sent a satellite over Africa to find out where they were missing, or if they could find out where they took them. Stuff. So there's a lot of people that have a lot of influence. So that's really all I got to say about it.
I'm still trying to. Oh, there it is. James Garner. That was his name.
James Garner.
James Garner from the Rockford Files. Yeah.
Yep.
He was also in that. What the hell was that movie? The one with Steve McQueen, the one where they break out of that German prison.
Oh, oh God, what was that? I know that one. The Getaway.
No. What the hell was the name of that movie? I wish I could remember.
Well, if he was also,
Steve McQueen, Jim Garner. There was like a whole. Charles Bronson was in it.
mm-hmm, yeah,
I does not Escape from Stalag 13. I'm trying to remember which one it was.
Stop.
That classic scene where Steve McQueen is riding on that bike at the border.
Yep. And then where he's always throwing the tennis ball up against the wall.
Yep, that scene. It's got the Great Escape.
Yeah.
That's it. That the Great Escape. So yeah. Again, get woke, go broke. Yeah. On the flip side, and this is gonna be kind of a mix. This is gonna be kind of a mixed bag, and we will be discussing this in 2 weeks' time. The Amazon Studio and Henry Cavill have worked out the details on production for the Warhammer, for at least the first of the Warhammer 40K stuff. Tom Cruise has allegedly also signed on to the project. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of people interested in doing that. We will be talking some more about that in a couple weeks' time. But you know what? That's really all I got to say about this one. Again, just the strange coincidental timing of the
Mm-hmm.
release of this movie and what's currently going on. And yeah, we will actually be covering Antifa here later on tonight. So let's get into the next. Let's get into the next show. Next topic. Okay, this one is. And I'm gonna actually bring up a video on this one first. Trump worked out a deal between Israel and Hamas over the Gaza Strip. I'm going to play the first video here. Really, really strange. Really, really. Where the hell is? What the? Where did all my videos go?
Oh, somebody deleted them.
All right. Well, all right. Then I will just post this one. I'll go find the other ones here. Just give me a second, but I'll post this one up for now.
We have played a key role behind the scenes in shaping this. It's right that we do so because it's in all of our interest, including our own national interest, that we move to a lasting peace in the region.
Well, when you say behind the scenes, like what? I mean, it seems to everybody else in the world that this has been done by Trump and the Israelis and Hamas. What part did we play?
These are complex matters of diplomacy that we are involved in, but we do welcome and recognise the critical role that the American government played in moving us to this point.
Ah, yes, complex matters indeed. For more reaction, let's bring in live an old friend, former senator from the great state of Minnesota, Norm Coleman. Norm, always great to see you. Welcome.
Ed, great to see you. Thanks for having me. On this glorious day, by the way.
Yeah, it is glorious indeed. Isn't it amusing, though, to see other Western powers, and I put powers in quotes because, former Secretary Robert Wilkie earlier was telling us this very point that the European folks have not been in the lead at all, but now they're trying to take credit when we all know President Trump was driving this train.
They said the sun never set on the British Empire. I think it set at 5:36 p.m. Today or yesterday. Listen, this is Donald J. Trump. This is his strength. The strength he showed when he took out the head of the Revolutionary Guard, when he took out the head of Hamas, when he sent those stealth B-2 bombers in and wiped out the Iranian nuclear program. Donald J. Trump's strength, his personal relationships with the Crown Prince in Saudi, personal relationship with Erdogan in Turkey, personal relationship with MBZ in the UAE. And so his strength really pulled all this together. And it's a moment that we should all celebrate. I hope this is the beginning of a peaceful Middle East. Other Arab countries coming in, normalizing relations with Israel. I was in Iraq a week ago. I wouldn't be surprised if the Iraqis joined in the Abraham Accords once all this gets settled out. And so this all is Donald J. Trump, his moment. Thank God. We are so thrilled, and he deserves all the praise.
He certainly does. We're showing that video just a moment ago there of that dramatic moment last week when Secretary of State Rubio handed the president a note suggesting that we were on the verge of this agreement finally coming together. In the last minute you just mentioned the Abraham Accords. Do you think this paves the way for normalization of relations between the Saudis and the Israelis. I mean, that was achingly close at the end of the first Trump term. What else might we see in the days ahead? Where's your optimism tonight?
So there were a number of reports that said that Israel and Saudi, through the U.S.'s intervention, were close to normalization before October 7th, literally perhaps in the next 10 days, 2 weeks, whatever. Those are the public reports. The reality is that has been on the table, and I think it's the vision the president has. The president did it originally, the Abraham Accords, with UAE, with Bahrain, then with Morocco. Don't underestimate the ability of Donald J. Trump to bring people to the table. I expect that you will see a number of other countries coming into play as part of the Abraham Accords. Donald Trump has believed in peace through strength. You showed the strength, and you're getting the peace, and I think it's just going to grow, Ed.
Yeah, absolutely. Norm Coleman, appreciate your insight as always. Thank you.
Thanks. Good to see you.
Okay, and here's the other one. I was able to finally find it and get it. There we go. This one's 2 minutes long.
Okay. This took 3,000 years to get to this point. Can you believe it? And it's going to hold up, too. It's going to hold up. Okay, thank you. You can use my pen if you want. Have a pen? And use mine? Okay. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, I will freely admit. Okay, Newsmax and Fox are definitely what we would call rah Trump sites. That being said, though, he did work out a deal. Again, this is the type of thing. Again, right? And a lot of people seem to forget this about Trump. Trump wrote a book back in the 80s called The Art of the Deal. Okay. Him going into these various places and being able to work out peace treaties and whatnot is actually playing into his strength, right? Because it's like, again, right? Like, he wrote a book called The Art of the Deal. It sold well for reasons because he knows how to do this sort of thing. And it does play to his strength. There has been very, very clear efforts, at least. Well, it also has, and this is the really weird part about this, it also has the added benefit of removing, because I mean, he was also going really hard on the he was also going down really hard on the Hamas protesters. It also has a double effect because it removes a segment of the population that had been contributing to a lot of the civil unrest that has been occurring, and we will get to Portland in a second here. I don't see that flag being waved at protests anymore, because it's like, yeah, you know what? A peace deal was signed. There have been, and I suspect this has been the case with there's been a lot of clandestinely funded stuff to try to make it look like the Israelis were breaking the deal. The hostages that were held by Hamas were released. Did they break it? Did they not break it? I really have no idea if they did or not. It wouldn't surprise me if they did. But again, right? I'm just saying that, but I mean, it's like both. I mean, a certain individual with the initials GS was clearly funding the anti-Israel protests that were taking place, and he wasn't doing it because he supported Hamas or whatever. He was doing it because his specific aim. And when we get to the whole Portland thing, hold on a second. It's being done to destabilize the U.S. government. That's effectively why it's being done. And the whole situation around that is, I mean, he did it. And by the way, he also made a deal in Central Africa, and he's also signed a few others. So, I mean, he's actually worked out more peace deals in the last, say, 4 or 5 months than including himself, like all of the other presidents put together in the last 25 years. They gave Barack Obama the Peace Prize simply for being elected, right? The Nobel Committee is obviously ignoring this. And I mean, it's not, and by the way, I'm not just saying this because I'm Team Trump, because yeah, I got some real reservations about Trump, and somebody, Charlie Robinson on macroaggressions, pointed this out, that the big beautiful bill and Build Back Better are all BBB, right? And it's like, a few years ago I would have said, well, no, that's just a coincidence. But it's like now when I'm listening to that sort of stuff, I'm like, right? Like, this is kind of like the way they operate. And, you know, good on them. There are obviously individuals in the Middle East and obviously individuals in North America who want to push this, but it had the added benefit of taking away that protester element that has been very active. Not so much where I live, because the one time they tried a mass protest here where they tried disrupting traffic in Edmonton, Daniel Smith sent the police over, and she did it in Calgary too. She went over, she sent the police over, and they picked up those protest blockades real fucking good. Yeah, I think this is probably one that Trump had to get done. Like I said, this removes an element from a lot of the domestic stuff that is occurring. For instance, like when I'm looking at videos of what's happening outside, in particular the Portland ICE facility, right? Like, I'm not seeing any more Hamas flags anywhere. That's really all I got to say about it. So I'm going to turn it over to Roger.
Well, for me, I just when it comes to Trump, I don't really talk about him very much anymore, because like I said before, the last time I was on your show, I was like, I've actually started seeing him for his true colors. I guarantee you that this peace agreement in some way is going to benefit Israel more than it is the Palestinians. And then like Hamas, I don't even care about them. They're actually a freaking terrorist group that started in Iran. The fact that they're even in the West Bank or in freaking Israel or anywhere in there is pretty much strange, because at one time
the Gaza Strip, yeah.
at one time they were actually stationed in freaking Lebanon. That was where they were originally from, and now they're freaking down in the Gaza Strip and all this shit. You know, whatever happened to the PLO? You know, it's like when it comes to that kind of stuff, that's the stuff I think about. It's like freaking, it's craziness, and then I just the whole thing with Trump, and he's always been a supporter of Israel, so it's just like he turns a blind eye to this last ceasefire that took place, you know, which Israel is the one who did, but then tried to say that it was Hamas who did it. You know, they turn around and said that they had the ceasefire. And this is a classic Israel tactic they do, where they say there's a ceasefire so that all the Palestinians who fled can go back into the region so that they can attack again and kill more Palestinians. And they've been known to do this. And I'm not even talking about recently. I'm talking about going all the way back into the 80s and the 70s. Back when I was a kid, they used to do this shit, you know. So when it comes to peace in the Middle East, I think it's going to be a long. I don't think it's ever going to be achieved, to be honest with you, because it's something that's going to always be an issue. You know, I don't like bad mouthing Israel or the Palestinians. I refer to all that as ethno nationalist bullshit. And that's what it is. It's probably the evilest thing that's ever been released onto this freaking planet. You know, when people think that they deserve something because of their ethnic background, that's a load of shit. I don't care who freaking believes that. You know, I mean, I really do think it is. It's caused a shitload of death, and a lot of people love the idea of being nationalist. Well, it's okay to have, you know, your national pride, put your freaking flag out on a flagpole, whatever. But when you take it to the extremes, you end up getting stuff like freaking Adolf Hitler. You know, you end up getting freaking World War One. That's classic. What this shit's all about, and that's what's going on there. You know, Donald Trump sat on freaking national television in the middle of the freaking White House and started talking about white farmer genocide. Okay, that was an embarrassment to our country. Okay, the fact that freaking he did that. There's nothing cool about that, but you'll hear all these people touting how great freaking that was. No, it wasn't great. That's not the way the president of the United States should behave at all. You know, and you're seeing this more and more with him. I think he has serious mental issues that freaking I didn't believe before, but I'm starting to believe now. So,
Well, I mean, he always had a big ego.
these are
Not,
mental illnesses. He's literally snapped. He
oh well, I wouldn't go that far. I'm more of, and I take the Sam Tripoli approach to this. The ceremonial changing of the crime families is what we saw, right? That's how Sam Tripoli describes Trump taking over as, and that's probably fairly close. I mean,
yeah.
they're two different wings of the same bird. I mean, on one wing, you have Pax Americana. That's the Trump, Rand Paul, those guys, right? That old school conservative group, right? Although I wouldn't necessarily call them conservative by any stretch of the mind, but I mean, yeah, they're the old Pax Americana group, right? They generally will leave they will leave the internal population of the country alone as long as they don't interfere with their business interests, and they're basically going around enforcing empire or doing what they believe is necessary to keep the money flowing into the coffers, and that if peace is what does it, then they'll do that. If war is what there, you're also talking about confessions of an economic hitman. That's the type of government that we are currently looking at. I got to point out to you that the Chinese and the British also, when they were and Chinese already have a version of that as well that they're using in Africa currently, and to a lesser extent in South America. And the British also had a version of that, otherwise known as divide and conquer, right? So it's like what the U.S. is doing is not new or unique. I mean, yeah, the Chinese do have a version of it themselves. They're not quite as they haven't been a major power as long as the United States has been, so they're still a little bit ham-fisted with it, but they'll get better at it. I'm also going to point out, and this is something that got brought up by Charlie Robinson this week on his show. The U.S. has got a rather large crippling debt that Trump, whether he likes it or not, is that they're going to have to do something about. And the issue on that is that if they do not figure out a way to get that debt either refinanced or in some way pared down in the spending into some form of, and it can't just be the Republican thing where it's like, oh, well, no, we'll only run a $1 trillion deficit as opposed to the Democrats running a $6 or $7 trillion deficit, right? I mean, both forms get you to a full economic collapse. Yeah, the Republican model takes longer, but it gets there. So they're going to have to, I mean, it's not going to be that they cannot just restructure the debt. They're going to have to go beyond just restructuring the debt. Otherwise, Trump may actually have to go out and start a war and start a major war to distract from, because, yeah, like the stuff that's going on right now with Antifa and these anti-ICE protests, I mean, that's all astroturf and it's all fake. But I mean, there is, and I saw a guy by the name of What If Alt History, and he called it the Incel Rebellion, and it's not the Incel Rebellion, it's the actual male rebellion, where it's like you're seeing, and not just to a lesser extent women too, but you're seeing more and more guys getting frustrated and angry, not just because they can't get laid. It's not just about sex. It's also about the fact that they just simply can't get ahead, right? It's like they're like treading water.
Can't get
like
head.
getting ahead, like
Oh, okay.
self-improvement, that type of thing, right?
Okay.
The whole thing is, it's like when you have a society that's got a situation like this where, even guys like for instance, right? Like I ran into a unfortunate set of circumstances, the least of which being the fact that I had a issue with my car not even 2.5 weeks ago, which consumed my entire paycheck, right? And I'm like, yeah, like now, and I'm trying to get overtime work right now to make up the difference, and I'm not getting. They don't have, the company I work for doesn't have as much as they used to, so I'm not getting as much. So I'm not. So it's now probably going to be like the end of the year before I'm solidly out of the jam that I'm in, right? And it's like, if I get hit with another issue, like I needed to take a week off last week because I was just like so fucking burnt out from dealing with everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I have the mental and emotional capabilities of knowing how to deal with this stress, right? The manosphere has got the tools that guys need to deal with this stuff, you have to go looking for it, but it's there. But I mean, it's being suppressed, right? So what you're seeing is a slow, gradual building. And it's like, yeah, when the bomb goes, like it's going to fucking go, right? And whoever happens to be the president at the time is going to have to deal with it. I actually, on my Naroki 5 live stream, the day Trump got, like, right after Trump got elected, I did a video, and I did a live stream called Trump and the Manosphere. And here's the thing: the Manosphere is going to hit a critical mass, like as in, there's going to be enough men directly involved in the Manosphere that it will be, if they started voting as a block, and usually the Manosphere doesn't vote as a block, but if they start voting as a block, it will be large enough that it can swing close elections, right? And that is going to be something that's going to start to surface next year, or it definitely will be around in 2028. In fact, it'll be even bigger, right? And it's like, if Trump does not deal with that issue effectively, he is going to have to go and start a war, whether he wants to or not, because he's going to have to find some way of pumping up the economy. Either that, or he's going to, like, literally, and I can't believe I'm saying this because this goes back to FDR here. He's going to have to basically bring in he's going to have to call from the left and bring up some type of a Marshall Plan, maybe even a combination of those two, right? There's going to be a lot on Trump's plate, and like I said, I haven't. When I get to the Portland stuff, will talk more about the government shutdown there, and I also think that's coordinated as well. But that's really about all I got to say on this. So unless Roger has something else to say, we'll move on to the next topic.
Just one thing. When you were talking about the debt and everything, see that there's one thing about Donald Trump and these I don't even call them all left or all right or anything like that anymore, but and everybody who's Trump supporters, the thing about that is they don't want to go with the norm on this debt, because, see, you got to understand, according to the United States and the way we've set up our economy, the government actually makes money off of our debt. So the more debt that the individuals like me or somebody else has, the more money the government gets from it. And the way they do that is through freaking foreign trade. Okay, now for the amount of debt that we owe other countries, and we do owe other countries money, but for the amount of money that we owe them, they give us freaking basically a form of international welfare. It's a tax, or it's an incentive where we have to buy their merchandise in order to freaking cover our debts. So that's how it was set up. And if you take a look at the way Trump and all these guys are working, they're trying to get away from that kind of debt economy that they're doing, not just here in the United States, but they're doing it all over the world too. The more debt that the individual is in, the richer that country is, or that country's government is the better way of saying it. So that's all I have to say on that. You there? You fell asleep?
Yeah. No, I didn't fall asleep. I just muted myself because I was busy doing something here. Yeah, it's Trump has got his hands full. There's absolutely no question about it. Trump has definitely got his. He's definitely going to have a lot on his plate over the next few months. In one form, again, it's not just the debt. It's the fact that if he does not do even, like, and this is not just on Trump, this is on basically almost every major elected leader out there right now. If they do not do something it's called the male loneliness epidemic, but it's not just sex that's involved in this. It's lack of support. It's lack of acknowledgement about the problems that men are facing, and to a lesser extent, women are facing as well. And the overall growing frustration that, I mean, like, guys are just not able to get anywhere or do anything, and they're like on this hamster wheel. And they're on the hamster wheel, and they're being denigrated, in particularly white males, are being denigrated and insulted and vilified just for being white over something that maybe one of their ancestors did 150, 200 years ago, right? And Trump, at least as well, I mean, okay, there's been a little bit of movement on this, but there's been very little movement on this, and there probably won't be until you get kind of almost like a Charlie Kirk style event with the Manosphere. That's generally speaking my opinion on this whole problem. But yeah, it's not just the peace deal. It's the fact that, I mean, the whole that like the Nobel Committee is just like been taken over by woke individuals, and the other extenuating circumstances around this deal that, kind of make people want to go, and yeah, and you're starting to look at some of the moves that Trump makes. And I mean, I do have to do, because I on YouTube and Facebook, more on Facebook. I mean, I do have to point out that they seem to be really hardcore focused on Epstein, and to a certain extent that they're right. But I mean, it's like, like the evidence that Trump was involved with Epstein just not there to the degree that is prosecutable. Because if it had been prosecutable, the Bidens would have done it, would have gone after him for it, and they didn't, right? But anyway, let's just move on to the next topic here. And yeah, now we're going to get into the Portland stuff. All right, so we're doing the period here just before the Portland police finally got shamed into doing something about it. I have a couple of videos on this. I will run them through, so have a look here. There's one of him being arrested, and then there's another one of him on InfoWars. The Sortor situation is pretty much a microcosm, though, of what is going on. And I will get into the Portland stuff when I get into it. But yeah, here is his arrest. It's 55 seconds long.
With the flag. We're fucking him up.
Hey! Mark's a veteran. He's got it.
And look at Portland PD just hanging out watching people get assaulted.
All right, and the next one here, this is him on InfoWars. It's 9 minutes long, so it's a bit of a long one.
So I got a text message from President Trump, actually, yesterday, or the day that I got out of jail, after I was on Laura Ingram's show. He apparently really liked the segment. He said, "Nick, I saw you on television. Great job. We're behind you 100%. Let us know if there's anything we can do. President DJT. And I said surge the troops. That's what we need out here. That's one of the many things that we need out here. But I mean, we also need the elections fixed out here to stop this crap from happening. But we're going to roll that segment that President Trump liked so much that he wanted to shoot a text to me afterward. You guys have that queued up.
On this, Nick, tell us what happened exactly.
Man, it's crazy. The entire day has been crazy. I mean, it's still the same day as yesterday for me because I've been up all night because I was stuffed in a jail. And the jail here in Portland, weirdly empty because they don't actually arrest criminals around here. Just people like me that, report on what's actually going on the ground out here. I am next to the ICE facility. I'm on federal property right now, and Portland police won't dare step foot on federal property, as we know. But, Joey, we know that these Antifa thugs hate to be filmed in general. They hate it even more when you film them while they're screaming and crying because they were just maced, because they effed around and found out by pushing federal agents. They're not as tough as they want you to believe that they are. And so, the last thing they want is for somebody like me to film them while they're crying with mace in their eyes. So, unfortunately for them, I have a First Amendment right as an American citizen. I can film them in public on the sidewalk, and there's nothing they can do about it. So that's why they broke down. I wouldn't go away. I wouldn't stop filming them. And so they got violent and aggressive, and they started punching me. They broke my camera.
Yeah.
And somehow that's criminal on my part. Haven't figured that part out yet.
Nick, a lot has been made about the fact that you were kind of reporting on the police not responding. They were burning American flags, getting I don't know, antsy, I guess. You were just reporting on the police and kind of what you would say is not being lax about it. Then all of a sudden you get arrested. Now I know there's a tussle there, and if we watch football, it's the guy that shoves last that gets the flag called on him. What is your perspective on this? Do you think that the police knew who you were, arrested you because of it, or do you think that you were just the last one kind of swinging there and that's why they grabbed you?
Well, considering the fact that they don't arrest anybody here ever, especially, down here you saw Katie Davis court with that black eye that she got. The police followed the assailant and did nothing. They just let them go, right? Now all of a sudden they change it when I am here, when a conservative journalist is on the ground, exposing what's actually going on. Is that just a coincidence? How did that just happen all of a sudden? I mean, it's I don't really think it is a coincidence, unfortunately, Joey. But because I didn't have very glowing reviews for them on Laura's show last night when I was here, and it took them over an hour to figure out what the charge was. They arrested me. They put me in the back of the police car. We parked on the side of the road for a while, and then after about an hour, they're like, "Okay, yeah, we'll charge him with disorderly conduct." So, which is. If what I was doing is disorderly, what do you call people with megaphones at 3 o'clock in the morning lighting fires in the middle of the street? What is that?
Did you notice when the police got there, were the protesters, were they pointing their ire at all police, at the local police as well, or did they keep it on ice? Like, did you see any type of, I don't know if it's relationship, or did the protesters say, oh, they're on our side, let's keep it pushing towards ice, or describe some of that to us?
Yeah, so they really don't seem to have any ill will toward the Portland police, but why would they? The Portland police have been running cover for them for years now. It's like they're in the pocket of Antifa. When you've got these, Bill Malugin, he was here for a few days as well, talking to these liaisons. They have these liaison officers that they station around here. They are supposed to only intervene in cases of imminent death, right? So if you're getting beat in the street until you're, unconscious and bleeding out, they're not going to step in. I mean, they'll tell you that if you ask them. And so the Antifa people have gotten used to it, where there is no action from Portland police. So, yeah, they feel like they're on the same side at this point. And especially, you should have heard the cheers from the crowd when I was arrested. They loved that.
Are you out there alone and unafraid? Actually, I think we got a video real quick of you pulling the American flag. If we have that, I'd like to play it. Yeah. Let's play that real quick.
We got a Trump supporter. We got a Trump supporter right here.
Oh,
they don't like it.
Oh, he's putting it on the ground and he's making it worse. And now he's standing on it. Now he's standing on it. You're not supposed to stand on it. Oh, now he thinks he's saving it.
Okay, so it looks like one of the flying monkeys from Wizard of Oz was trying to tell you that you made it worse. Were there any other counter-protesters out there? Are you the only person there with common sense that cares about the American flag, that understands that ICE has a job to do? I mean, were you there alone and unafraid in that?
So I definitely wasn't. I wasn't there alone. There were some counter-protesters, but in terms of maybe I'm built a little bit differently, right? I was willing to run into that and grab that flag, put that fire out, and I actually have that flag now. It's in the back of my car. I posted a photo of it. Actually, Bill Malugin took a photo of me with it earlier in front of the ICE facility, and I still have it. I'm going to bring it home with me, and I'll cherish it the way that it should be cherished. These people, they hate our country. They hate our flag. They hate everything that we're about. I'm telling you right now, Joey, this place doesn't feel like the United States of America anymore. It feels like a third world communist country. And that's the way that the government out here treats the citizens as well. I mean, people like me are not welcome here by the government. They literally threw me in jail. They want to intimidate us into shutting up and going away and not coming here. Because, it's pretty obvious to the American people. When you show them what's actually going on here on the ground, this is like a 90-10 issue.
Well,
90%
at least
of people would not support what's going on here.
I mean, I guess you got into a tussle there later on, but they didn't give much of a fight when you grabbed the flag. At least you're able to do that.
All right, and actually, on this topic a little bit, we did get a little bit of breaking news here. So last night, the Oregon, one of the judges out here in Oregon, one of the activists, of course, blocked President Trump from deploying the National Guard because that activist judge, of course, wants to make, the DHS agents and stuff that are out here, take them off immigration raids and make them have to protect their own federal facilities. So President Trump has decided that he is going to deploy not Oregon's National Guard, but California's National Guard, which he already has been fighting in court with Gavin Newsom over using those troops to protect federal facilities. So 300 California National Guardsmen on the way here to Portland, Oregon, as we speak, to hopefully relieve ICE and DHS and Border Patrol agents from having to waste their time protecting the federal facilities out here.
Hey, the Alex Jones app, AJN Live, is now the #1 app in the world. That's right, you heard me. We're #1. And this is pissing off the Democrats and the deep state big time. They're doing everything they can to shut us down, and now here we are, dominating the Apple Store. Smells like...
He fell asleep.
All right, there we go again. All right, so yeah, I decided to skip the ad stuff at the end. What you're seeing on screen right now is the woman who had the black eye. Now, at the time she got that black eye, mainstream media was minimized of that incident. The woman who gave her that black eye was chased into the safe house, and this guy by the way, I will get more into him next week. That guy, the guy who's running that particular safe house, about a block away. It's from Antifa. It's for the crowd that's protesting. Is a clear, full blown psychopath. He's got that very calm, like he doesn't get flustered very easily. Doesn't have much of an expression on his face. Is perfectly willing to lie to cover his ass and that type of thing. So yeah, he's not particularly good individual. A couple of things that continually happen with Portland. The mainstream media will go there during the day, and they will cover the protests, and you'll see the individuals with the animal costumes and dancing and whatever, and that's the image that the mainstream media gets. What Nick Sortor was talking about, when the independent media goes in and covers it, you're getting a completely different look. They know that their narrative doesn't hold up under that type of scrutiny, which is why they go after these individuals so hard. Now, I've seen some videos recently, although again, the Portland police actually kind of cracked down on this. And as a result, the violent rhetoric, ironically enough, has gotten even worse since they did that. There was a spot on the street where they had tents, umbrellas, water, food, medical supplies, like literally a half a block, like an entire, basically a couple of trucks full of supplies for the protesters, which, hold on a second, makes it really, really obvious that they are getting external support. Again, right, the current administration is probably going to have to go at it. Is like, I mean, the Tides Foundation and the Open Society and whatever, at some point, these individuals, the people who are running these organizations, are going to have to face the music. Here you go. Look at that. Bunch of pseudo tough. You can like literally feel the soy coming off the screen. Like look at the guy on the left there. I mean, wow, dude. It's like I'm an older guy. That dude probably wouldn't fucking last in a fight. It wouldn't last like 30 seconds in a fight against me, right? In fact, none of the individuals on that side look like they're ready to do anything. And it's a photo by Andy No, and it pretty much sums up the whole situation here. So the arrest of Nick Sortor, I will point out something about the way the Portland police acted. And again, next week on the show tomorrow we'll be actually covering how the Portland police were basically shamed into doing something about this. They were going to charge Nick Sortor, and of course, because of it was Nick Sortor, what ended up happening is that he got himself a really good lawyer, and the first thing the lawyer did on those criminal charges is that he went to the state the local prosecutor for the Portland area and demanded immediate discovery. Right? Like they were going to push for discovery on that case almost immediately, and then for some strange reason, the Portland police the city of Portland and the state just suddenly decided to drop the charges. Really weird, huh? But I mean, again, right? There's been a couple of other people that I've been following that I've been visiting the Portland protest, the ICE protest here consistently, and Andy No's been down there. This other guy's been down there. This one other guy I know that goes down there quite frequently. He actually got a full-blown swatting. They tried to swat his place in Texas. He lives in a smaller town, and the local police officer knew who he was, and he was in communication with said police officer, So when the said police officer got a call from the SWAT about him, first thing the sheriff did was call this guy up and confirm. And then he went over to his place. They sat down. They had a coffee. They had a couple things. They had a little bit of munch on. They had a little bit of a conversation, and then they left. Right? It's very, very, and also this is happening. Although I don't know where is the ICE facility in Chicago anyway.
It's in an undisclosed location. They're bitches. They like to hide like little whores.
You're talking about ICE or Antifa?
Well, both of them actually. They're both actually bitches. But ICE is just as bad. Like when it comes to all this ICE shit, like why are they wasting taxpayers' money? I mean, we've got a government shutdown. They're getting ready to end the use of pennies. We got, and you know, it's stupid shit. It's like, so we've got to take and funnel all that crooked money back into the government so that Trump can freaking finance freaking his ICE program and Homeland Security. Dude's a straight up neocon, dude. Like he's probably the biggest fraud since freaking, I don't know who could have been a worse president than Donald Trump.
The guy before him?
No, actually, I would have to say well, actually, that is a pretty close call, but I was going to say Obama. But no, Obama, believe it or not, did better than what freaking Ross, or I can't even remember his name. That's how bad it is. But yeah, Obama actually outdid Joe Biden. That's sad to say, but it's the truth. Yeah. But it's just, you know, come on, dude. It's like, well, he said he was going to make all these changes, and then he gets into office and he does the same exact fucking bullshit that the other administration did before him, except for the opposite. You know, it's either one freaking load of bullshit or the other load of bullshit, and you never get what you want. You know what I mean? They're talking about riots over food stamps and shit. You know, are you fucking kidding me, dude? You know, I mean, come on. And then I heard somebody talking about working for these programs, and I'm like, I tried to point out, but my mic was messing up on Teams, but that food stamp programs are not the same as these programs. These programs are like freaking food banks and free clothing and stuff like that. Now that's the way people really should be freaking going to for help. You know what I mean? But when you get caught up in like these welfare programs, you're becoming dependent on that government, and that's when you start getting afraid of losing freaking the things that you have or that you've received from them. So you're willing to just keep your mouth shut. And that's what's happening with a lot of these people on these welfare programs. They're being controlled by the government through these programs, you know? And I find it odd that all that shit's going on. It seems like there's some kind of freaking program or some type of operation going on that's fucking with people's minds and trying to get them to freaking, you know, not notice. It's kind of like a smoke screen, you know what I'm saying? It's like, look over here, don't look over here, don't pay attention to the guy behind the curtain kind of shit. So I don't know, it just, and a lot of this shit's just bullshit, you know what I mean? Stop wasting taxpayers' money, man. Get to fucking work and stop fucking worrying about illegal aliens. Look what this shit's fucking led to. Just complete fucking nonsense, dude, over fucking illegal aliens because, you know, fucking idiots are out there saying, oh, they're invading our country. They're not fucking invading our country. They're not fucking invading our country. You've just been duped by a bunch of fucking crazy fucking nationalists who are fucked up in the head, and they watch Alex Jones all day. That's it. Done with my rant.
Oh, damn, there, you exposed me. I watch Alex Jones all day. Okay, well, I'm going to point out one something about that. Use of immigration is a time-tested weapon, political weapon. And ironically enough, the Israelis were using it on the West Bank and on Gaza, right? And Noam Chomsky brought this up about how the Israelis were conducting themselves around that, using those so-called settlements and putting them on territory that they had previously agreed to with Hamas. And then, for some strange reason, the Palestinians got pissed off. So, I mean, it's what's going on is not. It does and it doesn't have merit. I can tell you from in the field I work in, there I have, and some of the other places I've worked in, I mean, there are immigrants coming over right now. And it used to be, at least in Canada, what it used to be like is there was a language component, right? Like you had to be conversant in English and or French, right? One of the two national languages. You had to be conversant, you had to be able to speak it in order to come in, right? You had to have a language component. That is completely fucking gone, right? So the stories you're hearing about Indian truck drivers that cannot fucking communicate with transport, either be it Transport Canada or the Department of Transportation in the United States, that when they get stopped or they get asked or they ask for their IDs or whatever, that they can barely make themselves fucking understood in English. I mean, that is not incorrect. Like, I have witnessed that stuff happen firsthand, right? Like, while it's not necessarily an invasion, it's like, like if you're going to let in these immigrants, it's like a simple rule, like, when in my house, you obey my rules, right? One of those rules is, like, to quote Samuel L. Jackson, English, do you speak it, motherfucker? Right? Like, I mean, that's not a big ask, right? And trust me, I've had some direct personal experience with that with recent immigrants, even people that I've worked with whose English was so fucking bad that, like, it actually had to go and consume an inordinate amount of time with this person to get a basic fucking concept across to the guy, right? Like, I mean, and it's like, you want to accuse me of being a racist, you know what, or a bigot or whatever. It's like, I got to point out something, and this is specifically in Canada. I'm going to point out something for all people who are accusing me of being a bigot. Like, the first generation of Sikhs that are living in Canada right now, they don't fucking like this either. Right? Like, they don't like the fact that this newer crowd that's coming over, not only are they not able to speak English, but they're not even fucking interested in trying, right? Like, this is not just something that's race-based, right? Like, in Canada, there's a massively large Sikh community. They've been here like 50, 60 years, a lot of them, right? They all speak it. You can tell immediately with somebody from India, whether they're Westernized or whether they're recent immigrants. And it's like, even the Sikhs that have been in Canada for the better part of probably closer to 50 than 100 years, like, even they're fucking annoyed with what's going on. Right? So this is not a race-based issue, right? Like, this is not a huge ask, right? When in my house, you live by my rules, right? That's not amazing. That's whether you live in the United States or Canada, right? And part of those rules is English, like, fucking speak it, right? Like, don't like having to spend an inordinate amount of time with a coworker or a contractor or an employee that's an employee of a fucking contractor that can barely fucking speak English. And you literally, and this is no word of a law, this actually happened this summer. I had to go find somebody on a site that I was working at because there was an employee there who was like so fucking illiterate about English that I could not, like, she literally could not understand a single thing I was telling her. Right? Like, that's, I hate to say it, man, that's fucking annoying, right? And like I said, even in the United States and Canada, right? In Canada, it's English and French. In the United States, it's like it's English, right? It's like fucking speak it, right? That's not a fucking stretch, right? And it's like whether it's an and also when it comes to the invasion issue, and this is deliberately being stoked. You weren't on that show, but V was. We're also talking about fat sectors of the elite that were deliberately trying to stoke animosity between the immigrants and the African American population. That's also been something that's been going on. And I think that's also being done on purpose. So this is not just Antifa, right? Like,
it's just the shit happening in Ireland right now.
Yeah. Like, this is not just this is happening on a large scale. And what I was talking about on the previous show with the again, right? What if alt history called it the incel revolution? Like, I mean, you're seeing a huge segment and swath of men that are getting angrier and more frustrated and more pissed off as they go along. And, the people that might be able to stem that and redirect it internally, which is basically the guys from the manosphere, are being stymied and prevented from doing it. Right? So, yeah, Trump's got a mess on his hands. And yeah, as well, it's not entirely his fault, right? Like, it's on his table, so it is his responsibility to deal with it, right? And, got some, I mean, yeah, good on him for finally lowering the boom in Portland and Chicago. But I mean, this goes just beyond the Antifa protest. There's I haven't gotten into the actual attempted shutdown of the shutdown of the U.S. government, which is also, I think, a deliberate and coordinated attempt by various factions inside the U.S. And unless Roger's got anything else to say, we're going to move on to the next topic here.
No, I'm done.
All right, so let's move on to the next topic here. Oh, the next topic. I think you're going to love this. This is the YouTube section. When Susan Wojcicki died, YouTube kind of backed away from taking a side in the culture war to a great extent. But what they also did, and to quote first of all, Louis Rossman came out with this thing called Grey J, which I just think it never. Kelso said it had the potential to take off, and you know what? Maybe at some point it will, right? But YouTube specifically went out of their way to try and shut it down. Now, Rossman was noted for saying at the time that YouTube had started to act like a company that was going through their couch looking for spare change. And over the last few months, there's been the issue isn't so much about YouTube taking a stand on the culture war, and it's about YouTube becoming obsessed with money, right? The first thing, and this is the thing that really kind of like, and the thing that really did it for me with YouTube was the way that they started trying to force you to watch ads. And not only were they trying to force you to watch ads on Google, but they even went so far as to try at one point, and yes, they were doing this because I was paying attention. They literally were trying to hammer, like, for instance, if you wanted to watch, I don't watch YouTube on Google anymore. Like, if I want to watch YouTube, I'll go to Internet Explorer or I will go to Brave, right? Like I won't watch YouTube on Google anymore. The fucking ads are just annoying as hell. But they tried. Like YouTube legit tried to get past the protections that both Brave and Microsoft had on their search engines that prevented the ads from showing up there. Right? Like they pushed really goddamn hard and they almost succeeded in doing it. They didn't, but I mean at that then it was like, oh well, get premium and you won't have to watch ads. Well, guess what? Now there's another level above premium that you have to pay for to not watch ads, because now even if you have premium, you will still have to watch ads, just not as many of them. Now, and again, I have noticed this very specifically because now I'm working a job that enables me to watch a lot more YouTube content, is that YouTube has suddenly gone and the ads are not like they're doing one of two things. Either the ads are not skippable anymore, as in you can't watch 30 seconds of them and then you go back to the thing, but they make it so that you can't skip them, or they hide the little yellow bar down below so that even when you can skip the ad, you have to actually watch the ad in order to skip it. And also, by the way, if you watch YouTube on your phone, instead of having ads every 7 or 8 minutes, it's now every 4 or 5 minutes.
Bastards.
Yeah. So it's getting worse, not better. You also, of course, have the usual exodus of people leaving YouTube right now. And again, right, I see this stuff because, I mean, when I'm at work, I pay attention. I watch, like, I mean, for whatever reason, and I suspect it's not a coincidence, the Rumble will work okay, but BitChute, MGTOW TV, Brighteon are some of the smaller platforms. Like the phone does not work nearly so well and consumes a lot more battery life if I want to watch videos on those platforms. Oh, and by the way, one of the other things that YouTube has done in the last few months is that they have specifically made it much harder to download content from their thing and repost it elsewhere. Like you can't just go to MGTOW TV or Rumble or BitChute and just like put the link in and it will automatically put the video up at those places. You have to actually physically download it. And when you physically download it, like you have to be careful here because it's like, like YouTube, like Google in particular, has been actively going after these YouTube video download sites and making it very difficult for people to download off of these sites. Like they try, they now have to, when most of these YouTube download sites work, you have to go over. When you do it, it sends you over to Google Video, and then you can't use any of the video downloaders from the web store. Like you actually have to you have to basically go in, you got to right click on the video and you have to save it manually for the most part. Yeah, like they're making it difficult, and they're making it difficult on purpose, right? And yeah, I'm sounding a little bit passionate about this because again, I got to point out, man, like YouTube is of the 5 platforms that I currently use, or sorry, 6 right now, because I use Kick as well. I got 4 subs on Kick, by the way. Yeah, staggering number. And I'm probably going to be leaving Twitch here very, very shortly YouTube just keeps pissing off their base, and they're making watch. They're pulling the Spotify model basically, where it's like you have massive inconvenience if you want to watch YouTube for free, But I mean, when Spotify did this, at least if you paid for their service, you get the skips and whatnot, and you're able to like do a few different things with Spotify. YouTube, I mean, they just get sleazier and sleazier and sleazier, and they're pissing off. And again, right, all this is doing is making Rumble stronger. Is basically all that it's doing. But try convincing people that. So YouTube took its ad situation and made it even worse, right? Like, I mean, I keep my phone as a control to see what is going on, but when I'm like, so for instance, when I'm watching YouTube on a desktop, I watch on Brave or Internet Explorer. Like, I don't watch it on Google because there's just so much pain in the ass dealing with all of the ads and all of the other issues. Oh, and not to mention the fact that it's like if you don't sub, you can't load up more than 10 videos in a day. Which for someone like me, again, I really don't care because YouTube, like I say, YouTube is the smallest of my platforms now. But I mean, yeah, it's a pain in the ass sometimes because it's like if, for instance, with what I've gone through right now, I have to go in probably some point tomorrow and I got to upload a long series of Sunrise Hoodie video contents. MGTOW content creator who had his stuff taken down on YouTube, but I can only do 10 videos at a time, right? So, and he's got like 400 videos. So it's going to take me multiple months to get everything covered there. But without any further ado, because I kind of went on for a bit on that one, I'm going to turn it over to Roger, and Roger can have his say.
I don't even know what the hell you were talking about, dude.
Of course you did, because you're Roger.
Well, I mean, it's like freaking, you're talking about YouTube and shit, and then you went on to Twitch, and then you went on to MGTOW, and then you went on to... I'm surprised you didn't even mention Donald Trump one time in that whole conversation.
Trump.
Like, which, that was actually something that I wanted to mention when you were bringing that up, because, like, for me, I noticed, like, they're starting to, like, allow people back onto their platform, and it seems to me like they know that their asses are in a sling, so they're trying to become, like, these good guys. They're like, oh, it was that horrible frickin' Democrat Party that was forcing us to censor you guys so bad. Sorry about that. We'll never do it again, And it's like, yeah, they did this horrible stuff to us, and we were so sorry. We love you guys so much, And it's like, we want you to come back. We apologize. Actually, they never even apologized. They just freaking said, hey, you guys can come back because we love you, And I think that's what it was. Is freaking they know that freaking their heads are on a block, because most of the time when freaking people get into office, they don't usually do the shit that Donald Trump did. You know what I mean? Like, he actually started going after freaking his enemies, which I said that back when I was supporting him. You know what I mean? I was like, he would be an idiot if he didn't freaking do something right from the get-go, because the moment he gets out of office, they're going to come at him like a freaking thunder. I mean, they're gonna go for blood. Like, they've already tried to shoot him, But the thing of it is that it's gonna get really, really crazy if he actually makes it out of office. I doubt he does. I think somebody's going to end up killing him first before he gets out of his term. And if he does make it through the term, that doesn't mean that he's going to stay alive much longer, because they'll get him afterwards. He's freaking bumped heads with one too many people. You know what I mean? Like, so you're actually looking at, I wanted to say it the last time, is you're looking at a dead man walking. You know, and that's really what it is. He's dead. He just doesn't know it yet. You know what I mean? And these companies, like, everybody gets on, they stream on YouTube and they stream on Twitch and all of these companies platforms, and they think, nah, it's no big deal. It's just for fun. But they don't understand there's big money involved in this stuff. You always hear people on the internet talking about how freaking YouTube's barely at, or an X2, and all of these other platforms, how they never make a profit. They never make a profit. They can just barely get the bills paid. They don't understand why it's so important to keep these platforms going. Okay, like Alphabet Inc. is the ones that own freaking YouTube. Okay, now Alphabet Inc. is into research, and when it comes to artificial intelligence, they need what they call large data sets. So what they do is they're starting to incorporate this AI into YouTube right now, so that they can freaking collect large data sets, so that their AI programs can learn how to behave. Okay. Same thing goes with freaking Facebook. Now Facebook is owned by Meta, and Meta's into the VR and things of that nature. So they're doing the same thing. They're collecting data so that they can freaking create data sets. And all of this information is being put somewhere. And of course, all of this information is being bought and sold on the market. And there's tons of money being made off of Meta and Alphabet Inc. Not Facebook, not YouTube, not any of that. So the deal is why are they doing this stuff? You know, why are they doing this stuff if there's money being made from all of the other stuff, and they're using freaking these platforms as guinea pigs so they can get freaking information? Why are they doing it? They're doing it because they want a response from you. They want freaking get you to where you are responding to them. They're also doing it because of these supposed advertisers who are coercing them to do it. And the only reason why they've backed off of all of the stuff they were doing, like the censoring and stuff like that, was because the U.S. government decided that we're no longer going to allow NGOs like USA Aid to pay them under freaking the guise of an advertiser to censor people. Okay, because that's what the United States government was doing. They were sending money out and freaking paying these platforms to freaking censor people, and they were getting good money for it. So when that money stopped, all of a sudden, freaking, that's why you start seeing freaking YouTube take a change of heart. That's why you start seeing all of these companies do the same thing. I've actually seen it happening on more than just the platforms too here lately. There was something that I'd seen the other day where all of a sudden they were being really, really freaking nice about something that was conservative. And I looked at it and I was like, because it was on TV. And I was like, what the hell, dude? Because usually they don't freaking do that. You know, this place does. And I can't remember exactly who it was, but like they actually did an about face. And the reason why is because they freaking started, they're not getting paid no more. You know what I mean? So since they're not getting paid, they don't have to pretend. They don't have to do freaking what they've been paid to do, which is censor everybody. And don't get me wrong, they're still out there. But that's the reason why when the whole censorship and all the bad stuff that was happening before was all for money. And now they're not getting the money. So if the dollar talk or bullshit walks, money talks, bullshit walks is basically what it comes down to, in my opinion. So, um, with YouTube, personally, I hate YouTube, but I also hate Facebook. I hate freaking X. I hate Twitch. Fucking mine's sucks. Fucking ain't got nothing good to say about it. Rumble would have been cool if their freaking monetization wasn't just a fucking con job so they could get you to go in there and pay for premium. There's if you don't have over 2,000 subscribers, you're not gonna get 200 hours in one fucking month. Sorry, it's just not gonna happen. That what their expectations right there is even higher than freaking what YouTube's is, and YouTube's is pretty freaking high. So that's what really pissed me off. And then they started adding this bullshit where freaking you have to have people who are chatting in your freaking chat to stay on their monetization shit too. You know, and I quickly caught on to that. It's just a if you're a small content creator, I would not suggest going on there and getting their premium until you have quite a bit of subscribers. Don't go in there if you have under 1,000, maybe 1,200, maybe. But I wouldn't play that game because first of all, you're gonna have to pay for it. You're not gonna get paid freaking for it if you just post your stuff on there. It's just not going to happen. They'll give you like 5 or 6 cents for a month. And that's about it. But that is the best feedback I can give you on Rumble. Now Rumble does have this stream that we're on right now is being done through Rumble Studios. Now this is probably the coolest thing they come out with on the internet, other than I think Beam is doing it, but not like this. Like Beam does kind of the same thing, but you don't go onto the platform. Like we're actually going on to Rumble Studios freaking platform to stream this out to you guys. We're not using OBS or anything else. Now, if you go on Beam, you have to use OBS to do it. But we are literally bypassing the use of VoIP. We're also freaking doing it without OBS. We're doing it right on the platform. So that is a cool thing. The only thing I thought that was almost as cool as this was Odyssey's freaking live stream. But even though it's clunky, you know what I mean? I know it's clunky, but it's a genius setup because, like, say your live stream screws up, then you can turn around. If you're recording it with your OBS while you're freaking live streaming, you can go into the replay and you can literally upload your recorded video onto the live stream after you're done and then publish that. That's cool. There's no other platform that I know of that does it. And Gray J is not going to happen, dude. Dave's been talking about that shit for freaking like 2 years now. Okay, it's just not going to happen. I'm sorry.
There might be a version of it that comes out when it's time. He was just a little like, well, I mean, remember what was it? Not Vimeo, VidMe that came out. Yeah, VidMe was a good idea. It came out in the mid 2010s. It just didn't come out at the right time. Like if VidMe had come out, say, around the time that Rumble did, it probably would have done better. There might be a different version of Grey Jay in another 3 or 4 years' time
Maybe
that might just take off, right? Just like how,
give
Vidme was.
give them about 10 years, and they'll maybe, yeah.
Well, no, Rumble Vidme was
No, I
like
mean,
what 2014, and Rumble was like 2018, 2017, right? So I mean, it's not that far apart.
well, you understand the capabilities that Grey Jay is claiming, right? Like
Yeah.
it's gonna be a big deal if it can hit big, but I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Oh no, there's like I mean either Grey Jay would just crawl along for a few years and then it'll just like explode, or somebody else will come out with a version of Grey Jay
Yeah.
down the road, like basically how Rumble picked up the debris that was left from Vidme, because what was Vidme? Vidme was 2014, 2015, and it lasted for about a year. I was even uploading there, and it just went away. And then Rumble came around like less than a year later, and it kind of struggled out the gate too. The only thing is, though, it came out at the right time, right?
Mhm.
It came out right when the Trump one was ending, and Biden came into office, and they chose to go into that censorship gig in the Biden administration, and Rumble decided not to play ball, and that ended up being a blessing for Rumble. And of course, YouTube just continues to shoot themselves in the foot.
Mm-hmm.
And every time YouTube does stuff like, cram more ads in and force other people to watch more ads and like do shit where it's like where you have to fucking watch the ad because the little yellow bar down below doesn't show when you can skip the ad, or they have more unskippable ads, right? Like sleazy ass shit like that pisses people off. And yeah, I mean, we're just talking about YouTube here. I mean, I mean, like literally, like I'm thinking I'm probably maybe like a day or two done before my suspension on Twitch is done. But I mean, yeah, Twitch is in the same boat, right? It's like, for different reasons. And yeah, Grey Jay may have just come out. This is also something that, again, I'm going to go back to the manosphere here, and I'm not even going to apologize for going back to the manosphere here. I'm just going to bring this up. There was an individual back in the early 2010s who was suggesting the concept of a MGTOW house. A bunch of guys get together, buy a farm in some rural area. In this case, it was the guy was thinking about it was going to be Texas. He even tried fundraising, and he was really struggling, right? Why was he struggling? Because at the time he came out with this idea, there were maybe, I'm guessing probably about, this is Immortal MGTOW I'm talking about, there were maybe only about 50 or 60,000 MGTOW in the entire country at that point. Like, there's not really enough of them to make something like that work, right?
That was you, wasn't it?
Immortal MGTOW? No, that wasn't me. Immortal MGTOW was a black dude, actually.
Well, I mean, even if it was you, you wouldn't really admit it. I know you wouldn't. So.
Well, I mean, no. First of all, it wasn't me.
Okay.
But it's like, yeah. But I mean, but if somebody,
it was V.
Yeah, well, it wasn't. I don't think it was V either. But I mean, if you did something like that now, like right now, for instance, the number of guys, and I'm just going to look at it because I did some number crunching around this at one point. Here, I've got the numbers. Oh yeah, here it is. End of 2025, there are going to be. There's probably about 1.5 million men in North America. That would be Canada and the United States that are actively MGTOW, and there's probably, I'm going to guess, somewhere close to 5 million men in the manosphere in North America. That would be Canada and the United States that are involved in the manosphere at this point. Like, the numbers are big enough that if somebody were to come up with this concept now and try to push it through, they'd probably be a whole lot more successful. Same thing. Grey J may just have come out a little bit too soon.
Yeah. I agree with you on that. I do agree with you on that. Just, I don't know, because it's the time span. I think it's if it's going to hit off, it'll probably be in about another 10 years from now.
I wouldn't give it 10 years, especially if YouTube keeps being stupid, which they are. I wouldn't say 10 years. I would say maybe not during Trump's administration. If Trump doesn't deal with this, basically he's going to, and this is something, I mean, this is not related. This is because the topic here is about YouTube, but we have to go back to Trump here. If Trump does not deal with the issues, and I said this on the previous topic, if Trump does not deal with this, he is going to have, that means that the president that comes after him, be it's probably, at least at this point, looking like it's probably going to be a Republican. So I'm going to have to say either J.D. Vance, Ron DeSantis, or one of those guys takes over. That person is going to be dropped right into that mess and is going to have to do something to clean it up almost immediately, right? Same thing, you're right. I mean, as this happens, and again, right, and Tim Pool has talked about this, about government control of the internet. I mean, having the government in control of the internet is not a good idea. I mean, going back to what's going on in Canada right now, there's 3 bills in the process of going through, and what Carney did in Canada is that he basically took the stuff from the Online Harms Act and he drafted out 3 different bills, which basically, not only, like, each of them by themselves is not as bad as the Online Harms Act, but collectively, when they're passed, and of course the mainstream media here in Canada is not covering this at all, when they're all passed and when they all get signed into law, it's going to be even worse than the Online Harms Act was going to be, right? Because it's like, I mean, basically the internet, it's going to be like Great Britain, right? Like, the definition of hate speech is going to be so vague that even, say, me doing what I'm doing right now might be, like, we'll take a look at what happened on Twitch, right? Like, somebody could find out that I live in Canada on Twitch, and somebody could report me on Twitch, and the police could come knocking on my door, right?
Yeah.
Like, that stuff I'm going to have to be aware of. And, so yeah, government control of the internet is not necessarily a good thing. But I mean, again, right, you're trying to pay at this point, when it comes to the governments, unless there's like a full scale rebuild, which it appears as though Trump is not doing. He's going in and fixing a few things, but he's not doing like the full scale, like, basically
he's not doing government, dude. Period. You know what I'm saying?
He's not doing the necessary full scale rebuild, which is going to be required to keep the U.S. going. And there's basically one of 2 end results for what happened. Because I mean, you can look at the parallel. The parallel between the Roman Empire and the United States right now is that period where the Gracchi brothers were attempting to institute, strangely enough, land reforms and so forth for the plebs and the citizens of Rome. And the Gracchi brothers got killed. And there was another guy who also ended up getting killed. This dude ended up, by the way, being Julius Caesar's uncle. The same person who killed off Julius Caesar's uncle actually wanted to kill off Julius Caesar. He got talked out of it. So there's basically one of two things. Either the United States just completely collapse, and Canada, by the way, completely collapses nations, or you go back to basically a version, ironically enough, with the No Kings protest, which you'll be talking about tomorrow. You're going to end up with an emperor again. You're going to end up with a strong man, which I don't really approve of either. But I mean, by the time about 2035, 2040 rolls around, based upon current estimates, right? That's literally what it's going to require to keep the U.S. and probably Canada, because at that point, I'm guessing if you look at the situation, like the 4 Western provinces are either going to be their own country, and it's going to be Western Canada, or they're going to be part of the U.S., either as state, or they're as full partners as states, or as territories. One of the two.
They'll do territories first, and then find out, like, well, there's going to be areas of Canada that would be able to become states automatically.
Oh, well, they will absolutely. I mean, that's the province I live in Alberta. It's like, yeah, they will absolutely let Alberta come in as a full state. They will also let BC come in as a full state as well.
Yeah.
BC's separation, yeah, well, first of all, it's going to depend on what the vote, and we're really getting off topic here, how the vote for the independence referendum goes next year. If Alberta leaves, then you're basically spelling the beginning of the end of Canada. Because Alberta will go, then Saskatchewan will go. BC will be geographically isolated.
You got to remember too, England's not going to give up the Yukon. I mean, you guys are going to. I mean, they'll fight for that too.
Oh no, the territories. I've seen the resource map for the Yukon and Nunavut and the Northwest Territories. There are billions, trillions of dollars just in gold.
Yep.
Up there, just in gold. That's just gold, and that doesn't include all of the other resources that are currently up there. I've seen the resource map. I worked in a camp up in Nunavut at one point. I was in the environmental office. I saw the resource map. Lots of heavy metals, lots of strategic minerals, lots of gold, lots of silver, lots of everything up there. The United States would love to get their hands on it. Britain would love to get the European Union would love to get their hands on that. There's literally, like, that's going to be like, it's at the point, and we're really getting off topic here, where there's like open discussions, because Nunavut has one road that runs through it. That's it. And it basically, I think it runs from Yellowknife down into Saskatchewan and down into Manitoba. That's it. There's one road, one major road in there. And there's so much mineral wealth locked in just Nunavut. That's not necessarily the Northwest Territories, but just in Nunavut, that they're basically, like, there's open discussions about building multiple road projects up into that area, and for damn good reason. Right. And the United States, Canada, and the European Union and the Chinese are all going to be going in there and looking for their piece of the pie on that. And that's the thing about BC. Right. The Chinese have been looking to get a foothold in North America for a couple of decades now. Vancouver represents their best opportunity. The people, whoever it is that is sitting in the White House, if they have anything resembling a functioning brain, cannot allow the CCP and the current Chinese government to get any type of a foothold in North America. So that means that they would have to basically go in and either annex that territory or have a referendum where BC becomes its own separate country and then joins the U.S. Right? Yeah. So anyway, we're really kind of getting off topic here. So let's move on to the next one here.
Not me, man. I'm quiet. I haven't said a word. It's this other dude that's in here. Just
well, it's Canada, right? I got to get some Canada content in here. Oh, speaking of Canada content, the Convoy organizers got sentenced 2 weeks ago. 18 months, no jail time. I got a couple of videos on this. So, yeah, hold on. Let me find them here. Here, where it is. All right, this one first.
Hi, everybody. Ezra Levant here. I'm in a cab headed from the Ottawa courthouse to the airport. I just want to give you a quick update super quickly on the case of Tamara Lich and Chris Barber, the two co-accused who were charged with mischief and other offenses in relation to the trucker convoy in early 2022. They were found guilty a few months ago, and today, finally, the judge, Justice Heather Perkins McVeigh, issued her sentencing. Now, Doug Ford's prosecutors, remember, it's not Justin Trudeau or Mark Carney who's prosecuting, it's Doug Ford. Doug Ford's prosecutors wanted 7 years in prison for Tamara Lich and 8 for Chris Barber. The defense wanted what's called an absolute discharge, which is basically we all walk away as if, we just walk away. I mean, of course, Tamara Lich has already spent 49 days in prison. The judge rejected both of those, but came much closer to the defense proposal. Neither Chris Barber nor Tamara Lich will spend another minute in jail. Unfortunately, though, they'll have a conditional sentence for 18 months, of which a year will be under house arrest, and it's brutal. They have to stay on their property unless they're working, going for legal, medical, or dental appointments, 5 hours a week allowed for shopping, and a handful of other exceptions. Now, I suppose it's possible to get a job that permits them to travel widely, but this is a very suffocating house arrest, and I think by comparison to the terrorist Omar Khadr, who didn't have any conditions when he came back to Canada. In fact, he got a $10.5 million check from the government. And in fact, one of my questions that I put to Lawrence Greenspan in the scrum afterwards, actually I put it to both defense lawyers, was, can you comment on the double standard between how these peaceful trucker protesters are being abused by police and prosecutors versus how the pro-Hamas protesters take great liberties every day? And I think both realized I was right, but they didn't want to dive into that pesky issue. Anyways, I'll have full reports later on rebelnews.com. And if you want to help be part of the solution, go to helptamara.com and you can chip in to help cover her legal fees for defense. I'm sorry it's so bouncy. I'm in the back of a car on the way to the airport, but I promise you my report in the main will be a lot more steady. Once again, that's helptamara.com. We got to help her fight back.
Yep, I will point out that Omar Khadr, by the way, a guy who I actually ran into at one point, because he was like, when he got released back into Canada, he was actually staying in Edmonton. And ironically enough, like where I was living at the time was probably like 3/4 of a mile, I'm guessing, from where he was. I would run into him at the grocery store that I would shop at, because we both shopped at the same grocery store. I didn't say anything to him, and he didn't recognize me. But yeah, like he was staying here in Edmonton. There's a couple more videos. Here's the next one. This one's a bit long. This one's about 10 minutes.
A shocking and disappointing day for our nation today and for our rights and freedoms. Despite what some are saying that today was a win for Chris Barber and Tamara Lich, I do not see it that way. While I am happy that they will be able to spend their sentence with their families and not in the penitentiary or the jail, I still think that the 18-month conditional sentence handed down to both of them is extraordinary and extremely severe. I think I am taken aback by this sentence. As a person fully appraised of all of the information of this case, and someone who has followed this from the beginning for the vast majority of this, and have seen the evidence presented and the arguments made, people are saying it's a win because the Crown wanted 7 or 8 years. I think it's a dangerous precedent, and it's very also concerning that these decisions are only seeming to go one way. It was brought up by Ezra Levant a couple times with the different lawyers, Diane Magus, and I believe also with Mr. Greenspan, that why is it that Chris and Tamara are treated this way, well, other protesters favoring the left or other causes are being given slaps on the wrist and allowed to walk away. Certainly, this is not equal justice. It seems extremely punitive. And again, I'll reiterate, I'm happy that they're going to get house arrest. It's a 18-month conditional sentence, 12 months of which house arrest, with exceptions for working and other getting out of the house reasons, but that's extraordinarily severe. Conditional sentence is a jail sentence, and then the other 6 months of the sentence are to be spent on curfew, not allowed to be out of the house between 10 at night and 5 in the morning. And the judge listed off all the reasons: the collateral damage they suffered, the risk to Mr. Barber's cross-border business, and the defense wanted an absolute discharge. The judge said right away that that's not going to happen. Justice Heather Perkins McVeigh of the Ontario Court of Justice saying that that was an inappropriate sentence, while also rebuking the Crown and saying that the Crown's 7 or 8 year demand for Tamara and Chris respectively is also not going to happen and totally out of bounds. I think the 18-month sentence for both of them is, again, inappropriate and excessive. I think it will provide a stepping stone to the Crown on appeal to try and ask for a higher and harsher punishment. And the stepping stone that I can imagine at this time, as a layperson who's watched some of this, I can conceive of some of the arguments that might be made by the Crown saying, well, this is a judge who has been quite lenient on Chris and Tamara. She made a lot of positive findings or non-negative findings, and she still gave them 18 months. We think that's a mistake. Give them 7 or 8 years. I believe that, this is certainly just the beginning. Everyone who's informed knows that. There's going to be appeals. I think Mr. Greenspan himself said that they're seriously considering appealing the sentence. The sentence was beyond my wildest expectations. In my wildest dreams, I thought maybe Chris Barber could get 6 months of house arrest and Tamara would possibly walk away with time served or a very minimal amount of house arrest. 18 months is beyond my wildest expectations and my most surreal maximum possibilities. Again, it's impossible to predict exactly how things will go in the courtroom or how the proceedings will end. But this is a shocker. I am shocked. I asked both Diane Magus and Mr. Lawrence Greenspan if they were shocked by this decision. Miss Magus, her response was not very strong, but I think Mr. Greenspan said that, this is the case that he's worked in his entire 40 plus years as a lawyer, where the Crown and the defense are the furthest apart they've ever been, where the Crown wants 7 to 8 years, defense wants absolute discharges. And you're going to see this because I'm going to overlay it. I spoke to the supporters this morning about what they felt about coming here today. Why did they come here? Someone told me that it woke them up, that they couldn't miss it. I'm going to play that for you to watch. And then when I was talking to Mr. Greenspan, I said, if in all of the weeds of what's been covered about this case, all the things that have been said, what is one message you would like Canadians to know who may not have heard it because of the weeds and whatever? And he said, that freedom of expression has to mean something. And again, reiterating his famous line, his mantra, that in a contest between freedom of expression and property rights, where property rights are not included in the Charter, there is no contest. And unfortunately for people who are suffering lack of enjoyment and use of property, freedom of expression has to come first. So I can imagine possibly and most likely an appeal from both sides. The Crown will not be satisfied with the 18 months and they will seek heavier sentencing and they will use this sentence as a stepping stone. They're also, of course, appealing the case of Pat King and other situations. I think those are the two biggest appeals happening right now. I know Mr. Chaba Vizzi recently was found not guilty because of serious Charter violations in his case, but I would not be surprised to see the Crown try to appeal that in some way, but maybe they won't because the Charter violations are serious and the evidence of them are significant. There's no arresting officer put forward, so they can't guarantee that his Charter rights were satisfied. Therefore, his Charter rights were not satisfied and they were violated. Therefore, his arrest was unlawful. His search incident to arrest was unlawful. But yeah, I'm absolutely blown away, shocked and horrified by the 18-month ruling today against both Chris and Tamara, that the judge sentenced Chris Barber first to 18-month conditional sentence, 12 months of house arrest, 6 months of curfew. Again, a conditional sentence is a jail sentence in the technical terms, not a custodial sentence, but it is a jail sentence, and it will absolutely be used as a stepping stone on appeal by the Crown to a more harsh and significant sentence, the one that they really want. But in the meantime, they may be able to leave their property for work. There wasn't any restrictions mentioned about social media that I was aware of, or even exclusions of talking to people, actually. So I don't know if their bail will carry over, or if maybe their exclusions of talking to people without the presence of counsel, only in the presence of counsel, will be removed. I'll follow up on that. There was some back and forth about Mr. Barber's ability to leave Saskatchewan, as the order says in the statutory part that you must stay within the jurisdiction of the court. So in Saskatchewan, stay within Saskatchewan. But it sounds also like the judge is leaving a lot of leniency for the supervisor of the conditional sentence from, I guess, the Parole Board of Canada or whoever it is, to allow, or the Canada's probation system, to allow them to be able to maybe go cross-border. But at the very least, again, Chris can see his family. He can go and do winter maintenance at his parents' property just down the road. He can go and do other maintenance there. He can go for any family emergencies for his children, his grandchildren, for his parents who are very close to him. He can continue to be close, and to his precious dog, Zippy, who's older in age now, and I know he would have been heartbroken to be away from him. But an 18-month conditional sentence, 12 months house arrest, 6 months curfew is a disaster, especially when we look at the state of protest in this country. Left-wing protesters walking away, getting a slap on the wrist. How many pro-Palestinian protesters in Ottawa have had their mischief charges dropped? How many of them were never dropped? How many of the people fighting with police at CanSec conference here in Ottawa, wearing helmets, shoving riot cops? How many of them were charged? Very little. How many of them will probably have their charges dropped if they were? Probably all of them. How many mischief charges have been dropped? Several. How many? The fines for their noise-making violations, all gone. It's ridiculous what's happening. There's a double standard in this country. It is a dark day for justice, which is supposed to be blind and equal, and ours is neither, folks. So watch these interviews of people telling me why they had to be here today. Watch my interview with Diane Magus, and also the interview with Mr. Greenspan, where he went over, and multiple times mainstream media attempted to have him say, basically, how much is Tamara crying right now? How remorseful is she? And then going on and on about the harm to Ottawa. What about the harm to Canadians who are subjected to totally unjustified and cruel mandates, having their families ripped apart, literally wrestled out of grandma's house because one too many people gathered, or getting arrested for skating on a pond in the lockdown? That's where our country was. That's a dark place, and it's not okay to treat people like second-class citizens. None of that was okay. All of that was unspeakable, but it happened, and we're here, and this is not a good decision. I am very happy that they get to be with their families, but it's nothing to celebrate. It is a dark day and a dark step in this country. And also worth mentioning was the media. The media here was behaving extraordinarily poorly. There was a guy, when I was talking to Diane Magus, who kept tugging on my shoulder. So after the fact, I asked him, why are you, stop doing that? And then one of the other camera guys literally told me that they're entitled to, I guess, whatever they want to do. And then when Tamara came out after the sentencing, and I guess they arranged the transfer of jurisdiction for their conditional sentence from here in Ontario to Saskatchewan, there was a bit like all hell broke loose. They were trying to impede them as they were going to the vehicles. The media swarmed them. The security had to push them out of the way. And at one point, the police had to rip a photographer for one of the MSM outlets off of Tamara's vehicle because he had basically pressed himself against it. It was a ridiculous carnival. There was a fight earlier this day between Brian Dirksen and another person, high tensions. But I think I also want to mention that there was standing ovations in the courtroom every time the judge would leave. And we're on an intermission right after Chris's sentence. There was 2 rounds of applause from the entire courtroom, which is 90% packed with supporters, a couple of media, and maybe a very small handful of agitators who made themselves known, but overwhelming support for the 2 of them today. And then again, more rounds standing ovation for Tamara Lich. But I am glad they get to go home, be with their families, locked in their home with some exceptions. Tamara, for example, is going to be able to go to see her grandchild born in December. Chris and Tamara are both going to be allowed to leave for work. But it's not right, it's not equal, it's not fair, it's not justice. And I think the weather agrees. From Ottawa, I'm John Villeneuve.
Yeah, he got caught out in the rain there. All right, third one. This was a British comedian. I threw this one in just for people's consideration. It's about 3 minutes, but I think he makes some very good points.
How Canada has become really interesting. It became interesting in January and February of this year. Why? Because you had protesters in Ottawa. Really interesting. When people come out in large numbers, and you know what the job of reporters is? The job of reporters is to go out and say, why are you on the streets? What brought you here? Why are you here with your kids? Why have you got a bouncy castle in the middle of Ottawa? That's a bit strange. Ask them questions. Just find out the story. But you know what? The government didn't want that in Canada. Your Prime Minister decided in advance that these people were, what did he do? All the modern excommunications. They were Nazis, they were white supremacists, they were anti-Semites, they were probably homophobes, they were misogynists, they were probably transphobes, etc., etc., etc. He did all the things you do in the modern political age if you want to just defenestrate somebody who's awkward to you. And then he brings in the Emergency Powers Act. Now, at such a time, what would the mainstream media do? It would question it. It would question it. The Canadian mainstream media did not. The Canadian mainstream media acted as an amen chorus of the Canadian government. I will give you a couple of examples, but ladies and gentlemen, I could go on for hours with examples of this. You had a CBC host describing the Freedom Convoy as a, quote, feral mob. You had a Toronto Star columnist saying, quote, sorry for the language, it's a homegrown hate farm that was then jet-fueled by an American right-funded rat-fucking operation. Jesus, they can't even write at these papers anymore. CBC said that 2 Indigenous women who were so scared to go outside in Ottawa because of racist violence didn't bother to mention that Indigenous drummers had led the truckers in an O Canada rendition. The National Observer said that the many black and Indigenous Freedom Convoy supporters were in fact duped by the truckers. The Globe and Mail reporter said, my 13-year-old son told me to tell protesters I'm not a Jew out of fear of anti-Semitic violence without mentioning that one of the leaders of the convoy was himself Jewish. Now, why is this so rancid? Utterly, utterly rancid and corrupt. Because in this country, your media, your mainstream media, is funded by the government. A totally corrupted system. In 2018, election year, coincidence, the Canadian media has given $595 million over 5 years. The Toronto Star estimated it was going to be getting $3 million from the government in the first half of the year. It went on and on. So you see, the mainstream, the government in Canada can tell people they can tell the banks to shut down people's bank accounts. Oh yeah, your government can do that, and if you're happy with that, just think about what would happen if the shoe was on the other foot. The government can do that, but in Canada, they can also tell the media what to do. And the media does the bidding of the Canadian government. That isn't a free society's media.
Yep. It was definitely a bit of a debacle, that's for sure. Yeah. So Tamara Lich and Chris Barber were the organizers of the convoy protest. Again, I've covered this on the show before. The mainstream media in Canada is effectively bought and paid for. The next photo after I bring up this one, which is going to be at 2:15, is going to be about GoFundMe. And there was also GoFundMe's activities. GoFundMe twice suspended financial support to the trucker convoy. It got so bad. Well, actually, this was basically the beginning of the end of GoFundMe. And then if GoFundMe didn't shoot themselves in the foot with that, then they definitely shot themselves in the foot with what they did a couple of weeks ago now. As you heard, Tamara Lich and Chris Barber got an 18-month, basically house arrest. And yeah, I can't really say that I'm overly surprised that Rob Ford pushed really hard for an even longer sentence. Now, are they going to try to appeal it? Wouldn't surprise me if they did try to appeal that sentence. I don't know whether it would go any farther. I got to point out, Rob. By the way, for those of you who think that the Conservatives are any better at doing it, Rob Ford is Conservative. He's the head of the provincial Ontario Conservative Party, right? And he did this. Rob Ford also very recently, literally less than a week ago, took an ad attacking the Trump administration where he took Reagan out of context. And surprise, surprise, Trump decided to cancel the trade negotiations that he currently had going on with the Canadian government after he did that. Now, not only was that so stupid, but I mean, the BC premier is also allegedly going that way too. So, but getting back to this, I mean, I'm thinking that this was, I mean, despite what the guy who got caught in the rain was saying, this was the middle ground, and yeah, it does come out slightly in favor of Chris Barber and Tamara Lich, right? Yeah, they are under house arrest. Yeah, they can't leave. They can't really leave home for a couple of days, but there's no restrictions on who they can interact with, who they can talk to, or anything like that. So it's not an absolute disaster for them, unless the government chooses to appeal the sentence and try to get a harsher sentence. Here's the thing about that, and this is, and I have to keep going back to this because it's actually true. Any attempts to stiffen the sentences of Tamara Lich and Chris Barber right now could potentially backfire on them again, right? And this is something that Mario from the North, whose content I didn't save, brought up, right? It's a coin flip right now whether Alberta chooses to stay in the country or not. Carney cannot afford to lose the goodwill. Carney cannot afford to lose Alberta right now. Anything that is done, like, say appealing the sentences because they got butthurt because Trudeau is such a narcissistic fucking prick. I will say this. Apologies to narcissistic pricks everywhere for comparing you to Trudeau.
You actually started sounding like you're from the United States. So don't apologize. That was actually good.
Yeah, well, it's like, it was such, like, I mean, Trudeau ran like a snivel when the convoy arrived in Ottawa. Trudeau ran like a sniveling coward. Like, he refused to engage in any dialogue with them, even though it was the actions of his government that caused the problem in the first place. And it was just, it just kind of blew my mind. So yeah, Rob Ford wanted 7 or 8 years. The press, the defense wanted an absolute discharge. At no point in time did they try to come up with any type of a plea deal or that type of a thing. Like, the Canadian government decided that they weren't going to work out some type of a plea deal, right? They wanted these two people in jail, period, end of story. And what ended up happening is that the whole thing, they didn't want to plead it, and they also dragged this because they were getting basically free representation, right? Like, the prosecution intentionally dragged out the court case for over a year because they knew it was going to do damage financially to the lawyers that were representing both Tamara Lich and Chris Barber. Right? So, I mean, everything about this was bad. I don't necessarily think that that 18-month conditional sentence, house arrest, is all that bad. At the same time, though, will the federal government try to appeal that sentence? Yeah, it's a real possibility. That is a very real possibility with this. And again, though, anything that the current Canadian government attempts to do to these two, or to try to pull the same type of stunt in Western Canada that the European governments were pulling with the farmers in Germany and the lower countries like Belgium and Netherlands and France. The farmers, they also tried to do this in France as well. Anything they do in that regard right now pushes Alberta closer to separation. So it's like, yeah, currently, like everything that is going on in Canada right now hinges on Carney walking a tightrope and making sure that Alberta, they don't make that major mistake that causes Alberta to just go, yeah, fuck it, we're out, right? Because, I mean, yeah, it's a coin flip right now. And despite that last guy in the video who claims that the media is bought and paid for, the media is not bought and paid for, right? As we saw with the Antifa stuff, right? You have alt media out there reporting facts, and you do have alt media in Canada doing the same thing, which, by the way, is why Carney is bringing in C4, C10, and C11, right? Because he wants to muzzle that alt media, which, by the way, would probably include me. Danielle Smith, the Premier of Alberta, has gone on the record. She went on the record about 10 days ago and was on the record as saying that she will do whatever is required to protect the civil rights and freedom of expression of anybody living in Alberta. So she will probably invoke notwithstanding on these three bills. But I mean, still, right? Like, if you live outside Alberta, that's not really gonna help you very much at all. I don't agree with the second guy. I don't think 18 months is bad. It's not great either. The way the Canadian government acted around this and the way they conducted themselves was pretty horrible. In fact, the way they conducted themselves during the Convoy protest was pretty horrid, including, by the way, sending in actual mounted police that trampled a protester. And I can't remember the specific number of the number that it was at, but yeah, I do actually have that video up at one of my RPN hangouts. So yeah, there's a lot going down around this. The good news is that Tamara Lich is like, it's not the end of them, but I mean, again, right? This might be far from over. And with that, I know Roger's not a big might have something to say about this. So Roger, take it away.
I was about ready to fall asleep. I mean, Canada, freaking news, it's just horrible. Like, oh my god. The thing that gets me is like all of this shit started because of freaking truckers protesting. You know what I mean? It's like, that's what I was talking about before with you. It's like you have to question a lot of this shit that.
Do you know someone who suffered
being force fed, down your mouth, like this supposed constitution that you got? I mean, what exactly are you being given, and do the individuals have rights? You know what I mean? Because me and Mr. Robot was talking about it before with Australia. The sovereignty of the Queen is what their constitution refers to. It doesn't say the sovereignty of the people. You know what I mean? So that's one thing that really sticks out to me when I hear a lot of the stuff that you say there, because like I've had conversations with Mark Edworthy on my shows where we've talked about the supposed Constitution of England, and the thing of it is like it's not a freaking constitution. I mean, at all. Like they don't even have it freaking as a codified, written down constitution. It's supposed to be like a unwritten constitution that everybody believes in. You know what I mean? Some bullshit like that. In the meantime, their government's freaking basically railroading them and allowing them to have rights according to what they feel their rights are. I mean, I found out too, like people in England get to vote for members for the House of Commons, but freaking they don't get to vote for the freaking ones that are in
The House of Lords, yes, same
House
thing
of Lords.
here. They can set they vote for the lower house, the upper house is appointed.
Right, and none other, but it's the Prime Minister of freaking England that freaking appoints them, and he's not voted in either. He's appointed by the Queen or the King. So there's no process that involves the individual whatsoever when it comes to that. And I was like, dude, that's a bullshit freaking government. You know what I'm saying? That's like we everybody always talks about kangaroo courts and shit. That's a kangaroo Congress. You know, that's load of shit. So I mean, it just things like that is what sticks out to me whenever I hear this kind of stuff. I'm really big into political history and stuff of that nature. So whenever I listen to you guys talk, that's what I hear. You know what I mean? Because like I said, I don't have too much faith in what people call politics today, because today's politics aren't really politics, believe it or not. It's a sham. It's a big fucking lie. People running around making decisions about shit that they really shouldn't be making decisions about, because it shouldn't concern the government. Like there's tons of shit right now going on that has absolutely nothing to do with serious freaking politics whatsoever. You know, and that's why I really don't enjoy politics today, because it's not real. It's I seriously believe this. I believe that freaking our society's we're breeding fucking idiots is what it is. We want to make people dumb them down, give them bullshit, and make them think that this stuff is really, really important, when in reality it's not important. You know, like here in the United States, we've had a government shutdown for well over 4 weeks now, longer maybe, and they're still worried about fucking transgender fucking laws and cryptocurrency and lo and behold, man, they got to freaking end the penny, dude. It costs more money to make a penny than it does to freaking actually freaking have a penny. You know,
Yeah. Well, they ended the penny up here in Canada years ago. So,
you know, well, I mean, it's kind of stupid. You know what I mean? It really is, because that's like taking away the freaking period. You know what I mean? It's like if you want freaking currency to be freaking precise, you have to have the penny. Like that's more important than the fucking nickel. You know, cross your T's and dot your I's is what I'm saying. Don't sit there fucking playing that stupid shit. You know, because it's stupidity. And this is the kind of stuff, man. People believe that shit's fucking important, and it's not. So I get kind of perturbed, or I've learned a new word this
your jimmies get rustled.
Yeah, it's perturbation is what I learned this weekend. Perturbation. I'm going through perturbation, and it's because I have to listen to this kind of shit. You know what I mean? It's just when you have to really kind of keep an eye on what's going on, and then decide for yourself what's important and what's not. I think that's really what it comes down to. I heard people talking about there's going to be riots over the food stamps here in the United States, and I'm like, dude, that's about the dumbest shit I've heard. And no, I've heard some pretty stupid shit here in the last couple of years, so I ain't gonna say it's the dumbest because I know like a month from now I'll hear some more stupid shit, and I'll forget all about this stuff, man. So, but I don't know. It's just the best thing I can say is freaking just use your common sense. Don't get caught up in this whole idea that something's important just at the snap of the finger, because that's what these people want you to do. All this stuff is just triggering your emotions. They want you to be angry. They want you to be freaking happy. They want you to be something. But it's just a way of them to get reactions from you, because the majority of people in the world are reactionary. They don't think things through. It's when something that happens right then and there on the spot happens. That's when they usually react. You know what I mean? They don't think long term. And these people play off of that shit. So they put that stuff in the media. They put it in politics. And back in the day, Michael J. Fox had a TV show. It used to be called Spin. If you guys get a chance, go check that out, and you'll understand what's going on today. It's just gotten a lot more complex and a lot more sophisticated, but that's basically what it is. A lot of this back in the 90s would have been called spin. You wouldn't hear a responsible media source, which we don't have anymore. Say all this nonsense, you wouldn't hear it in the news because it would be spinning. Like I'm not talking about mainstream. Mainstream media has been bought and paid for a long time now. So, but at one time, Reuters used to be a pretty legitimate media outlet. Now they're just as bad. They're just as corrupt. You can't trust them either.
Oh yeah, Reuters was good for a while, and then I'm guessing early 20s. Yeah, they just lost the script.
Yeah, they just fucking went belly up. But at one time, you could get some solid shit from them, but it's been a long time. So now Canada, all I gotta say to Canada is like you need to stop taking French people so serious, okay? Like nobody takes French people serious. Stop allowing um, their representatives to talk English and French. They don't need to be doing that shit. You know, England was the one that conquered Canada, and freaking that's what they are. They're freaking Englishmen, so they need to speak the fucking language. If they can't fucking speak the language, they need to take their sorry French asses back to Europe where they belong, because freaking we're sick of hearing French people. And they eat fucking horse meat, the most disgusting thing on the face of the earth. And that's what they do. They eat fucking horse meat. So that's all I gotta say.
All right. Okay. So last topic of the night. Last topic of the night here. All right. All right. So now we finish off with, and this is, I mean, again, we were talking about how YouTube is, hold on a second.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I had a sneeze coming on. Yeah, how YouTube was it? GoFundMe engaged in something pretty sleazy. Just watch the video attached and you will see what I'm talking about here. I just got to find it. Oh, yeah, there it is. GoFundMe scam. Here we go. Here's the video.
New product that GoFundMe uses to solicit donations for nonprofit organizations.
Except in one local case, the organization had no idea. 7 on your side, Stephanie Sierra is live with the story tonight. Steph.
Yes, Alma and Dan, GoFundMe has created nonprofit pages for more than 1 million charities using public data. But as we learned from a local 7 on your side viewer, some of these nonprofits are unaware these pages even exist. Dave Dornless is the treasurer for the Friends of the San Bruno Public Library and the president of the San Bruno Amateur Radio Club. Recently, he got a call from the library that left him puzzled.
One of our patrons at the library wanted to make a donation in someone's name who had passed away.
He says the person went online and found a GoFundMe page tied to the library's nonprofit and wanted to know if it was legit.
And it's something that we did not set up. We weren't sure what was going on.
Turns out GoFundMe created the page, but Dave had no clue. And he's not the only one. GoFundMe has taken upon itself to create nonprofit pages for 1.4 million 501c3 organizations using public IRS data along with information from trusted partners like the PayPal Giving Fund.
Which really make it easy for nonprofit organizations to connect with our community of over 200 million on GoFundMe. And so what we were finding is people were already coming to GoFundMe to organically support nonprofit organizations.
Krista Lamp is the senior director of nonprofit communications at GoFundMe. She explains some nonprofits will claim the page, meaning the organization has full visibility over donor data, donor stewardship, branding, and how they choose to leverage their page. But according to Dave, both the library and radio club nonprofits were not claimed, leaving him frustrated GoFundMe didn't consult him first.
And the fact that they would just on their own build pages for nonprofits that they've never spoken to is a problem. I'm a believer in opt-in, not opt-out.
Based on his comments to us, is there an opportunity in the future for GoFundMe to contact these nonprofits directly prior to creating the pages?
I think the more we can communicate and speak to the nonprofits directly is always beneficial for us. We plan to do even more communication directly to nonprofits.
Dave says he struggled to find anyone to contact from GoFundMe about this, so he reached out to 7 on your side for help.
Only after you became involved, they contact us. They also solicit a tip of 14.5%. In other words, they say, we're doing this and we're great people and give us 14.5% to do this, which doesn't have to happen. And that's what bothers me.
When we checked, the optional tip was actually set for 16.5%. The consumer is required to move the bar to adjust accordingly.
These completely optional contributions really make it possible for us to offer our fundraising tools, our customer support, and really support our global team of trust and safety experts.
The tip would be in addition to a 2.2% transaction fee GoFundMe charges nonprofits, plus 30 cents per donation. That fee goes up to 2.9% for individual fundraisers. Now, both GoFundMe pages of Dave's nonprofits have been removed from the site. Any organization can do so by clicking Unpublish on the platform.
So, yeah, GoFundMe, incidentally, was during the why can I not remember the guy? The guy back in 2020 who overdosed on the sidewalk there, and there's a big trail in minute. Why can I not remember that guy's name?
Fucking, you're talking about dude that played Gleaming the Q, right?
No, the one that the guy I Can't Breathe. That dude.
Oh, the dude that got fucking the police officer had his foot on his neck.
Yeah, well, it wasn't on his neck, but it was like, yeah.
He was beating him profusely like a mad dog, and then.
Well, actually, yeah, I don't want to be a stick in the mud here. What the hell was that guy's name? I should remember this. I should know this guy.
King. Rodney King.
No, that's the U. That was the 90s. This is
Oh,
2020.
that. Okay, yeah.
2020, Minnesota. I can't breathe. I can't remember. Oh, Jesus, I should know this guy's name.
I know who you're talking about. Who? Why don't you Google it? Just type in there and say, "I can't breathe," guy.
That's what I'm doing right now. I've picked up my phone. I should remember.
I can't breathe, guy's name.
George Floyd.
Yeah.
Floyd. Yeah,
George.
the whole George Floyd situation, right? That whole situation was just like that was just a major clusterfuck, and it was like, yeah. There was a guy when those riots took place. There was a person that tried to break into this one guy's restaurant in Omaha, and the owner of the restaurant shot him because he was attempting to rob the place, and it was in self-defense, and he put up a GoFundMe to fund his defense, and GoFundMe has pulled it. Dan Dix had all his equipment when he attended a protest in Vancouver a couple of years ago. He got assaulted and arrested just like Nick Sortor did, and even worse than Nick Sortor, he had all of his equipment stolen. And he started up a GoFundMe to get the equipment back, and GoFundMe pulled that fundraising effort as well. So and this was pointed out to me, there's a couple things that are going on here. Because after what happened after the trucker convoy, which is why I mentioned GoFundMe around Chris Barber and Tamara Lich, is that GoFundMe lost a lot of its legitimacy, and a lot of people in particular, particularly on the right, started going to Give, Send, Go. And a lot of the funding that GoFundMe used to have disappeared. And, they're not making as much money as they used to, just like a lot of these other sites like Patreon and whatnot, right? They chose to take a side in the culture war, and they picked the wrong side, right? And now they're struggling financially. And, and they've done this sleazy stuff where it's like one side of the political aisle always gets their crowdfunding effort on GoFundMe cut or removed, and the other side doesn't. But to go and post up 1.4 million fundraising sites, not tell the people, and then ignore requests from people who find these sites to get them either removed or to get the money that is involved with them out of it, there's a couple of things that they're doing. First of all, like the tip issue is big because that's money. So every time, if you think you're actually donating to these people, okay. So if the charity in question finds out, they can go in and they can claim the money, but they're making money off of the tip and the actual donation itself. So that's two places where they're making money as well. Also, by not contacting the actual 501c3 and letting them know that there's this money sitting in that account, they can leave that money sitting in an account accumulating interest until somebody notices that that account is there. And then they can go take the money out. And even then, they can drag it out for like a couple of months before they finally get it, right? So it's, this is fairly sleazy shit that they're attempting to pull here. This is not just a one-off. Like, this is it's not a quote unquote direct and flagrant, like outright theft, but it's a way of generating money and, you know, keeping it for a while and allowing that money to accumulate interest, which said organizations won't necessarily know about. Some of them will never find out about. So that money just sits there and accumulates interest for you, which is basically another revenue stream for them.
Mm-hmm.
Which is probably not all that surprising when you consider how, I mean, again, GoFundMe chose to pick a side. They did. They chose to pick a side, and then they picked the wrong side. So, you know, this also strongly suggests to me that GoFundMe is probably hurting a little bit financially right now. Which again, I think is well and true deserved with GoFundMe. You know, again, right? Like, don't pick a fucking side. Be an impartial arbiter. That's the reason why, right? Like, I didn't follow through on my Patreon for a very, very long time because I was thinking that Subscribestar was going to kick in and fill the gap, and I was just going to use Subscribestar. Well, Subscribestar turned out to be a bunch of incompetent idiots, right? So it's like now I have to go use Patreon. Same thing. I'm still going to be looking for an alternative to Patreon, right? And it's not going to be OnlyFans.
I want OnlyFans. I would love it.
Oh God, I would love the support me on Red Pill Nation. Support us on OnlyFans.
I would show my junk. I would be all up in that shit, dude. I'd be like letting all the chicks fucking look at it. Hell, I mean, you know. Well, I don't know.
Other than OnlyFans. But anyway, it's like, yeah, so pretty sleazy crap for them to be pulling off, but I can't really say I'm overly surprised, right? This is GoFundMe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the metrics of the amount of hits that GoFundMe gets versus the amount of hits that Give Send Go does. I do know that the entire conservative, like at least half of the population of North America no longer uses GoFundMe. They go to Give Send Go, and it's directly because of the trucker convoy and the way they conducted themselves. And then they go and do this. By the way, I'm also going to point something out here. None of the MSM outlets, except for the local affiliate, which I just played the video for, there's not a single solitary national story about this issue. The only video that I found when I went looking was that video that I just showed you. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Roger, who can take this damn show out.
I have to remember what the topic was about. It was
GoFundMe.
Yeah, GoFundMe. Now, that's actually a good topic to bring up because the thing that I found out, and I learned this by doing research with Tan Hai Tran and Mark Edworthy, and a little bit of Mr. Robot too, because we were talking about Minds.com. And I mentioned it last night on Jaffe's show about freaking Bill Altman and Tim Pool. Okay. Now, if you go and you look at the records on the donations that they received on GoFundMe, you'll find out that they had millions and millions of dollars that was donated to them. Okay. Now, Minds.com, no matter what the popular belief is, no matter what you hear in the alt media and everything about how great it is horrible. It is going belly up pretty much.
Oh yeah, it's a dead it's a dead social media site. Not a lot of activity there anymore. There's groups that I posted up there. In fact, I did a post from there 2 days ago. There are probably about half of the groups there on mines are not even operational anymore, and I'm not seeing any growth. I mean, it's all gone over to Gab. Is basically what's happened. Is that Gab is MeWe's also apparently looks like it's kind of stalled out as well, right? Gab is doing okay, but MeWe is kind of stalled out. Mines, they got to do a complete rebuild
Something.
at Mines.
Something. I don't even know if you can call it a rebuild, to be honest. Well, yeah, rebuild. Yeah, that's the best way of saying it. You're right.
Yeah, they got to do a complete rebuild at Mines because that site is just stale AF right now.
And well, the thing that the reason why I was going into that is because I was saying like all of this shit is, and me and Mark and Mr. Robot did some series, video series this year called Untethered, and I went over some of this shit with my part on the internet being a scam, and this is one of them because it's like everybody uh, needs to understand that GoFundMe is nothing but a big fucking sham. Okay, there's more. There's more shady fucking shit going on there than anywhere else. Um, like I was saying with Tim Pool and Bill Altman, it was all about getting money. Okay, and mine's is falling apart, and they've had millions of donations. On top of that, I went even further and checked on Tim Pool, and Tim Pool, Mr. Famous Rumble freaking streamer and blah blah blah, fucking he doesn't even have an account on Minds.com. Okay.
Oh yeah, he used to. He hasn't operated it in years though, or
You
at
know,
least months.
and I pointed that out and freaking last night, and Do Better went and checked, and he even realized it. But most people aren't even aware of that. These guys have been running around for years talking about how they were partnering up and they were going to fucking do this and do that. He doesn't even have an account on Bill Altman's freaking site. So they're basically running around trying to freaking make money, and they don't care about that network. They want to just exploit it. And then what they did is they turned it over to the Fediverse, basically. Now, anybody who knows anything about platforms knows that the Fediverse or the pub or whatever you want to call it, when people put websites on there, that's where they send their freaking websites. It's the graveyard. You know what I mean? When you start dealing in the Fediverse, that's where you start getting all the freaking porn spam and everything on your messages and shit like that. And that's what they did because they gave up on it. There was no more profit in it. And these people are doing that shit all over the place. It's not just there, like you were just talking about Substar or Subscribestar. I was going to try that out, and they're actually the reason why I stopped using freaking BitChute, is because that was their only pay method that I could do. Okay, and I went to go try to set it up with their cryptocurrency option. And when I went in and I checked that out, I found out that freaking I couldn't even go into the website that allowed you to do the pay method because
They the pay BitChute set up their alternatives. It's now PayShoot. It's not. It's not.
But
it's not
see,
through Subscribestar anymore. But continue.
they have it set up now to where freaking it that people in the United States can't freaking sign up on that platform. Now that's suspicious to me because freaking there's something going on there that goes against U.S. regulations when it comes to cryptocurrency. You know, and I wouldn't have known that if whenever I got the freaking response on my email, it wasn't red flagged saying freaking do not freaking subscribe to this website because it's freaking been flagged as a website that could possibly steal your identity. There's also a cryptocurrency out now that's the same way. I mentioned that before too, but these are all scams, and they're running them, and they're doing it because freaking well they're scammers, you know. So um, don't fall for this shit. Now I remember what the last time I was on your show that I was going to talk to you after the show about, and it was any alternatives to PayPal. Now it's up to you.
Alternatives to Patreon, not
Patreon.
Yeah.
Yeah, Patreon. Now it's up to you on this, but this is something I've been thinking about. If I do any more videos and streams and put them on, I'm thinking about doing a paywall on mine, and if anybody wants to freaking see my content, they can pay me $12 a month to watch it, you know. But that could be an alternative to PayPal. Just go on your Minds account and freaking set up a memberships, and if they want to go in there, they can pay you directly in cash a month. That could be an alternative for you too. But they'll take $2 off the top. So if you say $12, they'll take $2 off, and you'll get 10. That's just basically what my idea was, and I forgot. By the time we were finished with the show, I know we were both wiped out, and I couldn't remember it. But I finally remembered afterward. And when you said that, I figured I'd mention it before I forgot again.
Well, we can pick it up tomorrow afternoon because I'm getting hungry. I'm tired and hungry right now. As soon as the show's over, I gotta put some clothes on. Well, I have some clothes on, but I have to put winter clothes on.
You're sitting there fucking butt naked. You pervert. You pervert. But no, I'm done talking about it. I just wanted to bring it up. Go in there and check it out, and if you like it, just do it that way. That's probably the most simplest, and I'm not supporting mines. You know what I mean? But
I never paid for anything on Minds in the first place, so yeah.
Set up a membership on there and do it through there.
All right. So that concludes the show tonight. I didn't think we were going to go through. I think it was all the long videos that I had. I didn't think we were going to go 3 hours. Anyway, I will post up the banner again, at least for now. That's it. Patreon. That is it. I have all of the other links for all of the other social media sites I have are down in the low bar. Forget about Subscribestar. Help me out at Patreon. I'm not an about the money guy, but given what's going on, like I said, the aim at this point is for me to be doing more of these live streams and more of these shows and to be making a living just doing this. That's the objective. Haven't figured out how I'm going to do it yet, but I will, and it's not going to be by starting an OnlyFans account because you don't want to see me naked. So, so that'll be it for tonight. Thank you very much for listening, and
you thought I was going to say something, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought you were going to say something. I'm actually quite relieved that you weren't. But we'll take it out. Oh, wait a second. Here it is. A photo and an ad for Tinfoil Hats R Us. So yeah, here we go. We'll take the photo up here. There you see guy in a pilgrim's hat, fashionable pilgrim's hat, Tinfoil Hats R Us. We got them all available, and here is a celebrity endorsement, a complete deep fake from Barack Obama.
I would do that.
You're a thought criminal. Then 10 foil hats are us, as you covered. With one of their stylish hats, you can be protected from all of the things that people like me will insist that government isn't doing to you. If you suffer from the mental illness called thinking, then order yours today.
And that's it. You were going to say, Roger, take the show out?
I would take one of those hats. That looks actually pretty cool.
Yep. All right. Thank you, AI, for providing the drawing for that for me tonight. I'll probably go tap AI for some more rather interesting looking stuff here down the road. But that is it for tonight. Thank you very much for listening, and I will see you on the next one.
Later.
Later.